Star Trek will not be presented tonight, so that we may bring you the following special program.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. Welcome back, everybody. Time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show, and tonight a special Trek watch. John Suntress with you. Oh, look who's got a Mad magazine in his hands. Yes, Mitch.
1966.
Oh, look at that, man. Hold on. I'm staying in, zooming in. Wow. Look at that. 30 cents cheap.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Yes, it was. How many pages, Mitch, for 30 cents?
Let me look here. There's no page number on it, but I'm going to look at the table of contents and using my power of deductive reasoning, going to say, well, they got stories that go up here to page 43. So based on an 8-page signature on the press, I'm going to say there's 48 pages.
Cool.
Mort Drucker did the satire there for.
He was so the man. They all were. My God. You know, I didn't know. God, I am so relieved because for the longest time, I shared a birthday with Britney Spears, and I still do. But I'm like, yeah, great. You know, that's my celebrity birth. But Jack Davis and I share a birthday, and this year is the Jack Davis centennial.
Oh wow! I've got
Wait, Johnny, you're 100 years old?
I am 100 years old. Yes, I am.
I've got Jessica Simpson, Sofia Vergara.
That's a good one.
Nicholas Tesla, and Arthur Ashe. So I've got a genius and a
hottie, two hotties.
A lot of there, yeah, and a dead tennis player.
I don't know any of my celebrity. It's just me, Franco.
What day is it?
I don't know.
You don't know your birthday?
Shut up! You don't know. Shut up!
Is it
I don't know. What are you from the 1890s? Yeah, they never. That was my grandfather. We only celebrated his birthday on his saint's name's day. Because he's, he was like 1880s. He's like, I don't know when the hell I was born.
Yeah.
Hilarious. You're not going to tell us, Franco?
Oh, November 15th. Yes.
There you go. All right.
Oh, okay. Well,
very good.
Let's see. Nobody.
Yeah, do you know off the top of your head any celebrities that are on the 15th?
Where's Wayne? Wayne is under the weather tonight. So.
Yeah. Unfortunately, man. No. I wanted to pod Sunday, and he's like, I don't feel well, and he's like, I still don't feel well. I'm like, all right, no problem. So sadly, no Wayne, but we got Mitchell, we got Franco, we got me, and guys. I mean, I'll admit I have not seen the third Venom movie. I have not seen, but I want to hear from you guys. I have not seen Craven, but if you guys saw it, I want to hear about it from you guys. I understand, and we'll get. But good face, Mitch. I agree. And man, Franco just shaking his head no. But I've watched Skeleton Crew, caught up on Lower Decks, and I'm only one behind on Creature Commandos. But again, we got enough of a sense of the show to at least start talking about it. And man, wham bam, like a lot of stuff is coming up. In the next.
You're glossing over the biggest Trek news of all, and it came out today.
That Lady Lynch
from WWE is going to be on Starfleet Academy.
Well, I figured that was your news, Francis. So I figured you'd say it.
So she's going to be one of the Bridge Crew, one of my favorite wrestlers. Yeah.
What's her name again?
Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Do you think she's up to the job?
I think she's done some acting stuff before, but this also answers the question why she hasn't been on wrestling for a while. She's been gone for like almost not quite a year, but like almost 3/4 of the year. She hasn't been on wrestling because her contract expired and she didn't renew. And people are like, "Ooh, I wonder what's happening." And this is probably it. I think she'll be coming back to wrestling because it's moving to Netflix in January, Monday Night Raw. And there were rumors that she was doing some sort of PR thing at Netflix headquarters. So I don't know if she was just with her husband, who's who's a wrestler and still on the roster. But he was in a movie too. He was doing a movie too. So yeah.
I have a friend from grade school that I haven't talked to forever, but we have enough mutual friends that it'd be easy to contact him. And he is one of the producers at WWE Films. And I keep meaning to get him on to just talk about, what they decide to do when, whatever wrestler, makes an action movie and stuff.
Or what's that person's name?
Jordan Mendel.
Oh.
Yeah. So, let's see here. I'm looking for the images from there they are, I think. Yes. From Lower Decks, episode 9 of season 5. Final season, guys. And we can talk about the new one first, and we can kind of retroactively go back and talk about a couple of ones, prior to this. I got to tell you, I'm Bob Hope all of a sudden. This is one of the best new Star Trek episodes I've seen in a really long time, and I adored it. Right there, here's a couple fantastic cameos. Right there, you got Harry Kim back. I was going to say Ensign Kim, but technically that's Lieutenant Kim. In the back to Paul, and the big surprise, Lily from First Contact, Alfre Woodard, the Oscar winner. And I imagine not a ton of money to do animation, and maybe she had such a good time making the movie and was tickled to be asked. I was thrilled to see Alfre Woodard back. That was incredible. But I really loved the episode, guys, and we'll go into more cameos and stuff. But what'd you think of the most recent Lower Decks?
I'll go. You know what? I'm going to do true confessions here. I skipped a couple episodes and just watched this one because I was like, oh, God, I haven't watched one since that Klingon, and I missed 5, 6, 7, and 8. But this one made me want to go back and watch the other ones because Harry Kim was in there, and it was very well done. It was all about the multiverse and all the things that people can't stand about multiverse stories. And not only that, but Garrick was in there. He was just at Terrificon last summer, so it was nice to hear him, actually. And then Siddig, what's Dr. Bashir? How do you say his name?
Alexander Siddig is his, but Siddig Al-Fail is his real Muslim name.
He was on there, but I have one question for you. That was not Jolene Blaylock, was it?
Oh yes, it was.
Really?
Which is pretty damn amazing. And
I thought she had nothing to do with Trek. That's why I was like, it can't be her.
That's what's cool, man. And I'm really glad you brought it up, Mitch, because I had every intention of it. Yeah, she was mad, and I don't blame her. Like a lot of the Enterprise people, she was really mad when it got canceled and hadn't done any events for like over a decade. I don't know if you've tried to get her for Terrificon.
No, I heard that she doesn't do Trek stuff. That's why I was like, why bother? But I am curious, though. On the credits, I went to see if it was her. There was just only one name credit. I said to Paul.
Oh, they were up there. They were.
Did it say Jolene Blaylock? I didn't see it. I was like, was that her?
Why was she mad, Johnny? Reasons.
Well, I think for the cancellation of the show, and she just kind of pulled out. But I guess this is why I'm glad I do watch some of the rewatch YouTube shows, because sometimes they're a little better research than what we do over here or whatever. And the Irish guy at I forget which one it is, but it's Sean Ferrick is his name, or Fennick, I forget which. But he said a couple of years ago for Star Trek Day, when they had the public event, she showed up, and it was like, wow, that's the first time she's been there in, like I said, over a decade. And he went a step further and said, well, now that we've got animated T'Pol back. Wouldn't it be great if she showed up on Strange New Worlds? Because from a chronological standpoint, she could be an older T'Pol showing up at Christopher Pike's era. I would love that. And God, I hope that happens. That would be amazing to have her come back. Almost as good as the Otoy fan film, which I don't think we I don't think we talked about that last time. So we got to talk.
No, we didn't. We were gonna, but we haven't talked in a while. The whole Shatner thing.
Yeah. No. We've all been busy, but here's a great picture of Garrick and Bashir.
Yep.
And and again, I love it. I love that they're alternate versions of them. So the long hoped for gay relationship between Julian and Garrick can finally happen, and that's great. And also, like you said, Mitch, I am so glad that like this is the way to do alternate universes, where it's like enough already.
Yeah.
My God, it is so annoying. I mean, really, Marvel has beaten that horse beyond death. It is. Didn't you used to love, guys, when I was talking about this with Tom Pyre last week, like in those great Justice League, Justice Society crossovers, and it was such a novel idea, and only a handful of sci-fi novels over the years really like played with alternate universes, things like Man in the High Castle and things like that. But it's like Marvel, just like enough.
Let it go.
Please. My God. I mean, I get it, but hey, Robert Downey's coming back because Dr. Doom. I don't care.
No, it undermines all the stuff that you've done before, because you could just go, oh, well, we'll just go to another universe. So if somebody dies, it's okay. We'll just go to a different universe and pluck them out of it. That's why the Deadpool Wolverine thing, as much as I enjoyed it and I thought it was well done, I don't think too much about the whole logic of the time thing, because I don't know what's going on there. I'm like, wait, so Wolverine is dead, so it's in the future and he's 50 years old or whatever? I don't even know what's going on. So, and how did he meet the Avengers? Because there were no Avengers on this one's planet, but then he applied for a job over there, but he went to a different universe. He was just
it wasn't the same. Yeah, it's not the Logan Wolverine. It's a different,
No, I know, but I'm just like, but that's what I'm saying. When you have, then he goes to the bar and he sees all the different Wolverines. It's funny,
yeah,
but it ruins like just the basic storytelling if you're going to go back and forth. And you mentioned the whole Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. In my mind, I'm already thinking they're going to be alternate versions of Captain America. It'll be the Hydra Cap, and it'll be the bad Tony Stark who turned into Doctor Doom.
I saw something online that a rumor thing that Chris Evans was going to be Nomad. Nomad, so
that would be interesting.
That's fun. Yeah, that is interesting. And also, my God, and I'm happy to talk about this as well. All of the buzz, or I should say, whatever the opposite of buzz is about Captain America, Brave New World, Brave New World. The Sam Wilson Cap movie that Anthony Mackie's making. Man, that thing is nothing but trouble, and I kind of think that's why all of a sudden, out of the blue, hey, Chris Evans is coming back, and it's obviously you don't have faith in the movie you're making, and it. Good Lord. I mean, I suppose we should go back to Star Trek, but eventually, because Wayne brought up a great article about
they leaked it because he might be in this somehow in like a quick.
I don't know. Oh, that's interesting, Franco. I didn't even consider that really. I mean, well, again, we'll see, I suppose, and I mean, I've really gone from, oh no, I'm really excited about the Sam Wilson Captain America movie too. I don't know, man. It's getting a lot of bad, early press, and they had to reshoot a whole bunch of stuff. And supposedly they showed it to a couple, two different versions. They showed it test audiences, and it's like, no. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's like beyond like, listen, they're not going to reclaim the streak they had from Iron Man to Endgame. I get that, but it's like they've forgotten what made these movies great. And I really, I mean, I liked Wolverine, Deadpool Wolverine. I liked it a lot. And I even appreciated the variances. I love that, they're playing around in giant Ant-Man's dead husk and everything. And it was great seeing Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. That was fun. And really, even Elektra, Blade, and Gambit, yeah, those were fun. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought all that was fun. I don't know. But it seems like they've lost their mojo, as they would say. Another thing, back to the Lord X episode. Oh, here, wait. There's a comment. Let's see what it said. Stanley says the Russo brothers will probably save the MCU. Certainly hope so. They got a great track record of what they've done, and I know they're making the Downey movies and stuff. So
it's weird. I started rewatching. Well, I missed a whole bunch of episodes, so rewatching is not the correct term, but I started my run of Arrested Development, and I didn't realize the Russo brothers were all over that.
Yeah,
they directed a whole bunch of episodes and stuff like that. And I'm like, really?
Cool.
Yeah, wow.
Cool. No, that's great. On this Lower Decks episode, back to that, I love that Curzon Dax was in it, and I mean, I don't remember the voice actor that played
No,
Curzon.
I was going to say,
Not
was
that
he
it matters.
somebody famous?
No, and really, we only saw Curzon, in the pilot for Deep Space Nine, and then of course the Odo episode when he assumes Curzon's, past life or whatever, and he morphs into. But obviously that's Rene Auberjonois, actually, playing him and stuff. But no, I thought it was great, and I liked his relationship with T'Pol, and and also just the plot was just classic Star Trek. Hey, there's an anomaly. Let's find out what the hell it is. And it's like, again, I don't mean to keep picking on live action new Trek, but it's like they just put themselves in knots, and it's like, why are these animation people writing much better Star Trek episodes? Other than the fact that it's pretty obvious that I'm assuming that Kurtzman and the guys above really aren't interfering with what they're putting out there. I don't know.
Attention.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it is like, it's animation. We don't care. I don't know.
I didn't like the episode at first because I'm like, oh, here we go again with new versions of these guys. Like, they keep going back to this well. But the story was good. I liked the whole thing. And by the end, I'm like, oh, this isn't bad. The things I could do without were the little, but again, it's within character with a little side anecdote or the side, lines by Mariner and Boimler and stuff like that, kind of took me out of the episode, but I'm like, okay, well, that's them. So it wasn't that bad, but I enjoyed the episode. But at the beginning, I was annoyed. I was like, oh, they're doing this again.
It's funny you bring that up because I only watched half of it because I was getting annoyed with it, and I stopped it, and then I went back to it the next day to finish it, and I liked the second half of it a lot better once the story got going and you found out it was evil Lieutenant Kim and he was going to round him up. Then it was good because before that, even though it was only 15 minutes, I was clicking on to see how much time had to go before it was over because I was so like, I don't want to watch this, and I stopped. But then I went back to it.
Well, I like a chill Boimler, and I mean, I'm fine. I don't mind, pants on fire, Boimler running around. That's fine. But I mean, that's consistent with the character, and like you said, Franco, too, that here we are nearly at the end of the series, and it's like, all right, I guess I am used to the meta dialogue of all these people referring to past episodes and knowing everybody and just knowing the history of Star Trek as they do.
Right, that's what I was going to bring up. The last two episodes that we didn't talk about, I guess we will, but the thing that irked me about those episodes is when they would bring up things like, oh, like so-and-so on whatever, Kirk and this and that. Like, how do you know those specifics about just those ships? Like, did you not, have all these other ships in space with other adventures happening? Like, why don't you bring up those, because if you do an aside like that, okay, that makes more sense to me, but it's always very specific to the ones that we know. And I want, that annoys me a bit.
No, I remember, I was going to say back in the 70s, there was a book that came out called, I think, the Star Trek Technical Journal. It was like a hardcover book, and it showed all the different types of configurations of starships. There was ones with 1 nacelles and 3 nacelles and stuff. And I would study that thing. I don't even know if it was a sanctioned Paramount book or a fan thing.
Oh, no, it was licensed. Yeah.
And it had all the different ships, like the Potemkin, the Gettysburg. And I was just so like, my brain, the fanboy storytelling was going, I go, oh, look at this ship. It's got 3 nacelles on it, and it's got this dreadnought type of thing. And oh boy, would that be great? And like Franco just said, of course they're always going to go back to, the canon Star Trek because that's the stuff that everybody watched that got us there. But I always was wondering that, like, we always hear about the Enterprise. I get it's the flagship, but there's like tons of other ships out there. And that's why when you'd see the Titan or you'd see the Excelsior or another thing, it was like, ooh, a different crew. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, let's learn about those guys. There had to be a better captain out there, like Matt Decker when he killed himself with a doomsday machine. There's like,
or the Constellation.
Where's these other stories,
Yeah.
That's my big peeve with these fan films that they make is that they're recasting, like, Kirk and these other guys. Make some about those other ships, like things that nobody knows about,
Right.
Well, it depends. It depends on the fan film, because honestly, there are a lot of new fan films that are being made where they are like, all right, it's a different ship, and here's a kid that's a junior officer on a different ship, etc. Also, I agree with B things here. B things or A things? B things. Sorry, B things. He says the problem with all the references is it reminds him of other better shows. Yeah, exactly, man. It's like, well, yeah. So why am I watching this? So no, I agree. Again, it's so ingrained in the show that I'm like, all right. So it doesn't bother me like it used to. And also, every now and then you do get something interesting, like the ship that Lily and her crew are on, the Beagle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen, again, watching some of these review shows, that Admiral Marcus from Star Trek Into Darkness had a sketch or a model of that design in his office. But also, all right, original series ship named the Beagle. Do you guys remember?
That's the ship. Yeah, that's the ship that crashed on Talos 4, isn't it?
Not Talos 4, but it is a ship that crashed somewhere. So I'll give you half points for that.
Because as soon as I heard it, I said, "Oh, that's the ship from the old Star Trek show." Because I knew the Beagle, and I'm like, "Well, it's not Khan's ship.
No,
that was Botany Bay.
Botany Bay
Beagle."
And I don't remember the name of the Talos 4 ship, but I do remember the episode where we see the Beagle. And if you guys give up, I'll tell you.
Was it the one that Zephram Cochrane took to go live with the?
No, companions? But that's a good guess as well. No.
Okay.
It's Captain Merrick's merchant ship,
guy.
Where they go to the planet, and it's all modern day Rome with the gladiator fights on TV.
Oh, okay.
Mericus. That was his ship, the Beagle.
The Beagle,
and it was a merchant ship. See, I don't remember. Ron Stacy is the guy that with the crazy with the Yanks and the Combs and the Constitution.
No. I was saying, who's the one with Garth? Captain.
Oh, Garth. Yeah, Lord Garth. I don't remember a ship being mentioned in Whom Gods Destroy. I believe that's the title.
No, because the Beagle refers back to like a real thing in history. That's what's his name ship? Is it Bird?
No. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the South Pole exploration.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
No, that's true. No, and again, I just love the design. How great was it too that Boimler's ship is a Defiant class ship? It wasn't.
Yeah, I was wondering that. Yeah,
it wasn't it wasn't that universe's Defiant, but it was a Defiant class.
Yeah,
ship.
as soon as it came on, I thought of that. I said, "Oh, look, the Defiant." Then I go, "Oh, wait a minute, they're not calling it that." So, well, of course, they made other ships that look like it. HMS Beagle was Darwin. Thank you, sir. There you go. I knew it was some explorer or scientist or something like that.
Yeah, and of course I remember the fake one of Fred Circus.
They were exploring new realities, so that Darwin name makes sense.
There you go.
And further, I love that there really wasn't a villain behind all this, and it's like, oh, we're doing that? We're causing these things? Oh, sorry. Yeah. We thought we were fixing it. Yeah. And it's like that's Star Trek.
Turn. I'm like, oh, this is a good left turn.
Yeah, it's like that's Star Trek, man. It's like, no, you don't need a bad guy every time. It's like
no
sometimes stuff just happens, and all right, we're trying to fix it. That's great. I really hope Mike McMahon, at the very least, gets a promotion and gets to start making some live action Star Trek from the goodness of Lower Decks. And I can't believe I've done such a 180 from really just being so frustrated with the show for the first 2 seasons. And it's like, and thankfully they have softened Mariner, and she's not the obnoxious know-it-all that she was in the first 2 seasons.
Oh, wow. Somebody's coming into my house. Hope it's not Charles Manson.
I was going to say, series.
I'm downstairs. God knows what's going on upstairs right now.
All right. But yeah, I really did like it. Now I don't have a list. I'm trying, and sadly, my poor memory. I'm trying to think of the previous episodes.
I tell you. Is this the last week's? Is this the 10th final episode?
This coming week is the final episode. Yes,
that's it. All right. Wow, it's been 5 years now. Has it been 5 seasons?
Yeah. And I'm agreeing with B things. T'Lyn, ever since they've introduced that character.
Yeah.
And everything she's in, I love her. And that reminds me, because then the previous week was Tendi and T'Lyn kind of competing to be the science officer. And again, I liked it for the most part, but I hated the whole, oh, well, I got to do better. And it's like, can you stop like being silly and just like try harder to be funny rather than, do something immature? Like, well, I got to be a better science officer than Talin. Yeah, calm down. Okay.
You think they brought that character in to balance it out, because every incarnation of Star Trek always has that deadpan, whether it's Spock or it's Odo, or I'm trying to think of who wasn't Voyager. Well, it might have been Seven of Nine. There's always that.
Well, Voyager was what's his face? Mr. Vulcan.
Neelix. No, I was
no,
thinking.
no, Neelix. No, the Vulcan. Tuvok. Yeah.
Oh, Tuvok. Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah. You always need that unemotional thing to the sounding board that they like. They go run around screaming with their heads cut off like chickens, and then there's that logical, cool, stoic character that the humor works off of, because that's the straight man. That's the one that's not acting like an asshole. That's the one that's just normal,
Well, and she can handle it. I mean,
those are the ones that people end up liking. It's so odd that you mentioned it, because it's like Spock. They like that one. Even Tuvok, I could remember his name. People like, I like that guy because he's not a jerk. He's just
right.
He's just doing his job. He's trying to get to the end of the day. Without being.
But again, that annoyed me when she was trying to one up the other one. But then also the fact that they found Data's head, and I'm like, oh look, there's another throwback, reference, and I'm like, so that
throwback to a stupid story. So it's like, if you're going to reference stuff, do it good shows, not Nemesis or whatever that.
All I kept thinking was that episode where, and they referenced it in the show where Picard lived his whole life out, on that thing, and I'm like. So not only are you ripping off the episode, you're referencing the episode, and I'm like, oh, come on, you could have done something better with that.
I agree with that. Data's appearance in the previous week, it didn't bother me. But it's weird how some actors are able to slip right back and sound like they did, like Nana Visitor on the Deep Space Nine episode from a season or two ago. She was great. She still sounds like Kira. And even Quark, although Armin explained that if I don't have, the teeth have changed. And he's like, the teeth were a big part of it. But for like a while, I'm like, why isn't Spiner sounding more like Data? And again, I blame that also on direction, where I'm sure there's that's fine. That's fine, Brent. Keep going. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. But, that's, B-Thing says, I like that Teddy couldn't compete with Talin's giant melons. Yes, indeed. Yeah, then again, a little cheap humor, but sure. She grew, if you remember, there wasn't a body part reference. It was literally she was growing giant produce and everything. So to feed the people. I liked it enough. It was all right with the little immature thing that I'm like, all right, whatever. That's fine. But and then there was another Klingon one. Wasn't there?
That was the fourth one.
Well, I know the fourth one, but I thought there was another Klingon.
Then I'll go back and watch it because I like Klingon episodes.
All right, I'm going to bring up the list when you guys are talking and I'm not talking as much, which I know is rare. But I'll try.
Frank and I'll just talk. Can you believe that Craven didn't make a lot of money?
I do want to hear. All right, did you guys see? All right, so tell me about Venom 3 while I'm looking up what this
Venom
episode
3. Oh, that's the last shitty movie we saw before this shitty movie. When was that? I actually forgot we saw it because somebody had
Venom.
asked me.
Yeah.
I know there were trailers when I saw Joker Part 2 for Venom 3, and that's why that's all I saw. Yeah. So it was definitely.
We talked about it on the last episode, did we not? Or I thought we did.
Yeah, I thought we did it. We saw it in November, I think. Was it October? Yeah. It was so momentous. Yeah, we did. We talked about how the Venom horse and
yes,
the guy from the Lizard was in it, the actor.
Okay, you got me. You're right. So instead, let's talk about the
other bad movie.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say. You'd think they would have lost exactly. You'd think they would have learned their lesson from Madam Web, and yet once again, they make a crap movie, Kraven the Hunter. And did you guys see it?
Yeah, it was me, Ordway, and Franco. We were there. We paid our money.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I have to say that it must have been better than Madam Web because Mitch didn't fall asleep.
I did not fall asleep, but I was laughing out loud at the delivery. Yeah. This one's faults were not so much the story, believe it or not, but the performances were they were all over the place. Some people were up here, some people were down here.
The story was still shitty,
It was shitty,
it
but
was better than Venom or Madam Web, in my opinion.
Right.
But yeah, I had the same issues with the delivery of dialogue. Like at one point, you laughed out loud.
I did. It was hysterical.
And I said, it's weird, but are they CGIing her lips? Because they looked weird as she was delivering the lines. One of the characters, Calypso, who they brought in, and I don't know, it seemed really weird.
I thought it was just us, but I saw a review. I was going to send it to you. Somebody put out all the same stuff we did. They go, the words weren't matching, the lip syncing, and it was off, and the dialogue was out of there, and characters had no explanation what they were doing. I go, oh, I thought it was just us, but no, it was general. It was a fun, decent. And no, you know what? That's the problem. I was saying there was some good.
Mitch, forgive me. I'm just going to say, because when you read a comment, I want the audio audience to understand what the comment is. All right. Before you get into your thing,
video world, okay,
I understand. Stanley says Craven was a fun, decent action movie. Your thoughts, Mitch?
Correct. There were some set pieces in there that were. I even said it was out of a James Bond, circa Pierce Brosnan James Bond, where it was like a chase in the city, and then it jumped onto the water, and he was almost doing like a water skiing thing, and it was special effects. And I go, or stunt, or how they do it nowadays. I go, that's good. That was a good thing. And then he had a big fight at the end, obviously, but the rhino, the makeup looked kind of cheesy on the rhino.
It was weird. Like right at the beginning, when he was attacked and bitten by the radioactive lion that gave him his powers.
Yeah.
The lion shows up, and they talk about this one lion that's out there that they're tracking and looking for. That this is, I forgot what the term they used, but it was like, this is the lion that you want. You want to get this. And when this thing shows up, it looked like a front end jacked bulldozer. Like its front half was all muscly, and I looked at him like its eyes seemed really small in its head. And then I went back because it bothered me so much, Mitch. The next day I went and looked at pictures of lions, and I'm like, ooh, the eyes are not that small. So it had these real little beady eyes and like this big jacked muscular face and the big front paws, and then a little itty like back end. And I'm like, man, this guy must have been doing all the reps to get front jack like that.
What I don't understand in general about all these Sony spider villain movies is, where the fuck is Spider-Man? I mean, really, and did you Wayne shared and that's why I'm bummed Wayne isn't here tonight, but I really want to talk about
that article. Yeah.
Tell him, Franco.
Yeah, tell him the article that Sony has permission to use Spider-Man in these movies and chose not to. And I'm like, now I don't know if that's true or not. That's the article that I read, but I'm like, whose decision was that?
Well, and the reason why, supposedly, if you will, Frank, if you don't remember, I'll say it.
I don't remember.
Okay, supposedly it's well, it might confuse the audience because it's technically not a Marvel movie if we have Tom Holland in one of these Spider-Man film movies. Are you that stupid? Are you that dense? And honestly, based on a lot of studio decisions we've observed in the last 30 years, they are capable of that kind of stupidity. And it's like, how many times do you have to hit your head against the wall and real Morbius, Madam Web, and now Craven. It's like, Jesus, gentlemen and ladies, what the hell are you doing? My God. And you don't need a ton, but like do what they did with Affleck in the first Suicide Squad movie. And also the Flash even shows up in the first Suicide Squad movie in the one scene. But Affleck is Bruce Wayne at the end talking to Amanda Waller and whatever. Well, when Captain Boomerang, either Deadshot or Boomerang it's Boomerang. When he gets picked up, it's the Flash. And it's just a quick, little quick scene, but there's the Flash. Or the way the whole Justice League was in the Flash movie. And they had the big action scene with the Justice League. But, and then also with Deadshot, both Affleck was there as Batman and also as Bruce Wayne in the first Suicide Squad.
In that article I read, too, like they do talk about, maybe they'll come up with an alternate version Spider-Man or something like that to put in there. I'm like, well, yeah, why didn't you do that from the beginning? It could have been, a different universe Spider-Man, or like if that's the way you want to play it, do it that way. But put Spider-Man in there. Well, do something live action where it's connected to these Spider-Man films rather than these standalones. Because Joe Schmo, if I took my wife to go see him, she would never go see this movie.
No.
Anyway, if I took her to go see this movie, she'd be like, "How is this related to Spider-Man?" And you know, so like, why wouldn't you make that connection? But
I thought they didn't have the rights to Spider-Man, and I said, why didn't they develop Venom as the replacement? So do the same story. Do Kraven's Last Hunt. You could take the same story from the book because he even had the black suit in that thing, in the story. But it was Spider-Man, it's Peter Parker. But you could have made it Eddie Brock, that he was stalking Venom, like Kraven wanted to see what this new creature was that he'd heard about, like it's the wild animal. It would have worked, and you could have got Tom Hardy instead of doing that shitty last Venom movie and put Venom in there. You could have done Madam Web. You could have done Morbius. You could have done all that stuff and used Venom as your fill-in Spider-Man. And I think it would have been a better play because then people would have gone, oh, that. And then eventually you could have had Spider-Man meet Venom, the Tom Hardy meets Tom Holland type of thing. Yeah. And 5-second crossover or whatever. I don't know. I thought that's what they were leading to because in the last Endgame or one of those, one of the pictures, he's at the end.
Tom Hardy was in it, yeah,
and he leaves a drop of the Venom stuff on the bar. It's like it's moving around.
When Venom, this last Venom movie opened up, that's where it picks up. So I'm like, ooh, they're picking up right from there, but he just went off in a completely different direction. Yeah.
Well, and further, I always heard that this was all leading to a Spider-Man versus Sinister Six. And that each of these movies was just, okay, now you know who all the villains are. Now they're a team and they're going after him. And again, I don't mind that plan, but you need again, and I'll even admit I've never seen the play, but there's that famous existential play, Waiting for Godot. And Godot never shows up, but they're all talking about Godot throughout the entire play. And that's kind of what these movies are, where it's just like, hey man, I'm spending $20 a ticket. You're giving me a Spider-Verse movie. Is it too much to ask for that Spider-Man is in it a little? Apparently it is. Yeah. And it makes no sense. And for them not, well, we can't use it. Well, then why are they able to make the regular Spider-Man movies that pre all the big MCU movies, when Marvel was facing bankruptcy, that's when Sony swooped in and got the rights to Spider-Man. So, and they haven't let go because they keep making all the movies, including the Spider-Man movies they make. So, it's never going to revert back to Marvel until they go, we give. And I don't think they're going to do even with these misfires. I don't think they're going to do that because, yeah. Well, and also as good as No Way Home, turned out and everything, the last full-on Spider-Man movie and stuff. But yeah, it's like, there's got to be more people out there that Sony could grab beyond the specific story people that work for Marvel, where it's like, hey, I know Mark Miller was doing stuff with Fox for a minute. Bendis was doing stuff with Fox for a minute. It's like you've got people out there. Hire Dan Slott. Hire your favorite Spider-Man writer. Hire Jerry Conway. God, I could go over the list. I mean, especially somebody like Jerry that actually has Hollywood experience too.
Well, the weird thing is I think they own the rights as long as they're continually developing a Spider-Man movie. Is that what the whole contract is? That once they stop doing it, then Disney has a chance to revert the rights back to, or Marvel owns them, or whatever.
I think it's Franco's way more so, Mitch. I really do.
Oh, but the thing of it is, I just saw today that the Spider-Verse animated movie that came out last year, that it was a cliffhanger, now got pushed to 2026. I go, whoa. Isn't that thing done? I thought it was finished like a year ago because I remember it was going to come out in the springtime, and then they just kept pushing it back. I'm like, now it's a whole other year? Is that just because they want to?
Maybe because they need to bridge that gap to make another movie to keep.
I don't know.
Well, and given the length of time it takes to make an animated movie, here's the thought: don't leave us with a cliffhanger, because if it is a cliffhanger, make it a minor one, and don't have people wait 2 years, because I do understand that animation takes time. And you
forget, man.
Whatever. I disagree with Stanley. Stanley's like, well, Sony should probably sell to Disney. I hate to see that because we have plenty of consolidation, and you'll forgive me, Stanley, but when in my 20s, there were several dozen different studios out there, and now there's 6.
3.
Or even, well, maybe, and really, I suppose from the big boys, Mitch, you're probably right that it is 3. Because it's Warner's, Disney, and Sony.
Yeah.
Well, Paramount's out there still, so that's 4.
Amazon.
Well, I mean,
guess,
the Fox
MGM.
was
Amazon.
Fox is Disney, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Amazon,
Fox is with Disney. No,
and
you're
Netflix.
right. So that's
Yeah.
5. And then you
Yeah.
got the also rans like A24 and Blumhouse and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying as far as the majors. So no, I don't want to see that. And further, while everyone has been wasting their money creating streaming networks, Sony's been really smart and just making things and, oh, sure, Amazon, you take this one. Okay, Apple, you take that one. Oh, okay, whatever. And all they do is license and collect the money and don't worry about how many subscribers do we have. But we don't have it. But we made this thing and there aren't enough subscribers to pay for it. And it's like, you guys are jerks. They created this game. They had no idea what they were making. It's like Oppenheimer with the bomb. It's like, oh my God, I had no idea. I'm sorry.
No, I got annoyed because Red One is on Amazon now, Prime. I paid money to see that a month ago.
We saw it last night, yeah.
Yeah, and when I was at the theater, as soon as it started, it said an Amazon movie. I looked over at my wife. I go, what did we go see this for? She goes, why? I go, because Amazon makes this. It'll be on Prime before Christmas. And sure enough, 4 weeks later, I'm watching it for free. I'm like, why?
I read something, I don't know if it's true or not, but if you're a Prime member, you get to go see that movie for free in theaters?
Someone told me that too, and if that was the case, then I'm really pissed because I spent $40 on 2 movie tickets. But I've heard that somehow Amazon Prime people can see Amazon movies in the theater. I'm like, how's that work?
I had maybe it's like the way you can get a discount at Whole Foods when you use your Prime account. But real fast about the Spider-Verse stuff, James says that the second Spider-Verse movie wasn't started when the first one was released, or the third one, I suppose now. And that's another reason why it's taking a little longer. But regardless, but no, back to Red One. I'm glad you guys brought it up. I had every intention to do it. I waited until Amazon Prime. I did see it. I liked it fine. I'm glad I didn't see it in the theater because I'm sure it looked fantastic on a big screen. But again, it's like, I don't know how to break it to you guys, but it's not that interesting of an idea to wait, to have to see it in the theaters, given the amount of other entertainment options that are out there. But that said, I did really like it. And I had no idea that Jake Kasdan was the director. I'm a massive Jake Kasdan fan. That's Lawrence's son. Back in the 90s, I don't know if you guys remember this fantastic little movie that he made, Zero Effect, with Ryan O'Neal and Bill Pullman.
I remember the title, but I don't remember what it was.
Bill Pullman was like just like how now there's like a dozen Sherlock Holmes ciphers on TV and films and stuff. This is well before all this. This was in the 90s. And he was this weird, kind of almost schizophrenic guy, but had incredible powers of deduction and stuff. Bill Pullman. And it's really good. It's and I think it holds up. I think it's a great 90s movie. So I've always been a fan of Jake Kasdan. And he knows what he's doing. Here under the cowl of MS says the wife and I went to Red One Sunday and see that it was on Amazon Prime on Monday. Yeah, man. And he goes, I just don't know why they had to throw 2 swear words in the movie when it was perfect for kids otherwise. Yeah. Good point.
Well, you know what? It's still playing in theaters right now, even though it's on Prime, because you got to remember, not everybody has Amazon Prime. It's look at me, look at Amazon Prime, because my sister does it, and she's like, I didn't know that. But what was I going to say? Oh, and J.K. Simmons, that guy's buff for a dude that's like 70 years old. Did you see him working out? I was like, shit, putting me to shame at 58. But then again, I wasn't in any shape.
Well, he's Santa Claus, and you're not. So.
Yeah, but no, he's got some good muscles on there. All I kept seeing is J. Jonah Jameson, Captain America, and Black Adam were in a movie together.
Yeah. No, and I mean, that's the thing. It was fun. It's a fun action movie. Mm-hmm. It's a fun premise. Everybody was great in it. But again, it's like, is this special enough in today's environment? And also, again, why didn't you? You're right, Mitch. I think, and Franco, the fact that, it's a Christmas movie. Well, we got to put it on Prime before Christmas. It won't make sense to drop it in January or February after Christmas. Well, yes, but
I'm looking around trying to find new Christmas movies because there's a zillion of them. I see one with Jack Black come up. It says Dear Santa, and I go, oh, that's interesting. It's a funny premise because a kid writes a letter to Santa Claus, but he can't spell well, so he writes Dear Satan, instead of Dear Santa. And when he puts it in the mailbox, it's like a Twilight Zone. He puts it in the little mailbox, letters to Santa, but that one gets sucked into hell, and you see the fire, and then he goes to bed at night, and then something comes out of the closet, and it's great. And it's freaking Jack Black with the horns and everything. He's Satan, and the kid thinks he's Santa Claus, and Jack Black suddenly starts to figure it out. He's like, wait a minute, who, you don't spell well, do you, kid? He's like, no, why? He goes, you didn't write that letter to Satan, did you? You wrote it to Santa? Oh, it's a different thing, but it's good. But again, it went on too long. I didn't even finish it. I was like, okay, it's fun, but now it's
new.
Fun. A half hour, it's brand new, a half hour Twilight Zone. It would have been perfect. But when it's dragged out for an hour and a half or 2 hours, you're like, oh, it's like those Saturday Night Live movies. It's a great premise, but then it doesn't pan out for 90 minutes. It's good for a 3 or 4 minute sketch, but you can't have the two disco brothers at the Roxbury for an hour and a half because you want to put your head in a vice,
I don't know. There are moments at Night at the Roxbury that I do like. And Molly Shannon is so fantastic. And then she's such a jerk. And I love the muscle guy that they're friends with, that the Roxbury brothers are friends with. And it's like, yeah, man, you're getting married. You're the man. And she goes, hey, shut up, you dick. This is my wedding. And it's, well, here comes the bride is playing.
They should have a list of, now that Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary, how many Saturday Night Live based movies were there? Because when you just mentioned Molly Shannon, didn't she do a movie called Superstar?
Of course she did. Yeah.
I never saw it, but I was like, did that do well? Was it funny? But I remember
it was cheaply made, and I don't know if it made its money back or not. But yeah, it's Pat.
Wayne's World, all that stuff.
There's a new one. There's a new one with There is a new one with one of the newer cast members, although he has been on the show for a couple years now. Kyle Moody has that Y2K movie that's currently out there, and it sounds funny.
I don't know if that's a Saturday Night Live, like.
I hear what you're saying. It's not a Lorne Michaels produced Saturday Night Live movie. I hear you, and it's not a character per se. But I do kind of like that Kyle Moody, because I always thought he was funny. And it's like, oh, that's cool. He's got a new movie. Good for him.
Strange Brew is on. We're all over it, but Strange Brew is a Christmas movie, if I remember.
I'm cool with that.
It's on. I'm trying to watch it with Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis again, and freaking Max von Sydow.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what? How did he get this movie?
And Paul Dooley too.
Oh boy, but it's on Amazon Prime, and I was watching it. Go, wow! I saw this in the theaters, man. It's a rough
80s movie, but that's the thing. There was room for all this crap. In fact, Mark Altman made that documentary about 1982 being the greatest geek movie year ever, and now it's available. You could buy the documentary series on DVD, and and I was talking to Mr. Skin actually last week, and we were talking about raunchy comedies from the 80s and stuff, and it's like, yeah, man, I did. Thank God we grew up when we did, when it was still, when you were able to make those and they were effectively funny or effectively fun. And now it's like, forget about it. Again, everyone's too Victorian in their attitudes and everything. It's like, you can't do it.
But there's no place on late night TV. Like, there's no USA Network or any schlocky network where you could get these stupid movies on. You know what I'm saying? Because we used to have. They were trying to make so much content back then when the VHS and they were trying to fill the Blockbuster video, and you go there and you'd see some movies you never heard of, like Charlie Sheen as Rambo. You're like, what is this? And now there's so many of these streaming channels. One would think that there could be a schlock channel where they just make these down and dirty, raunchy teenage comedy movies, and somebody would watch them.
Well, Shudder is there for horror, obviously.
For horror, yeah.
But for a minute, although it wasn't schlocky comedies, Robert Rodriguez had that El Rey network on Xfinity, and it shuttered because I guess it never made enough of a profit. But they would, show Grindhouse movies over there and Starsky and Hutch reruns and all like basically schlocky action, and everything. And it even had some interesting new original programming, like they had the From Dusk Till Dawn TV series, and they had Matador, which was like about a soccer team and an FBI guy infiltrating a soccer team because the owner of the soccer team was a criminal and corrupt and everything. Alfred Molina was in
They
that
even
one.
had their own wrestling show.
Yes, they did. Lucha Underground. Yes,
Underground, yeah.
big
Does
fan.
anybody know a formula where you can make money on streaming services? Because I don't think I've heard any successful. Is Netflix isn't? I thought that was, but then told me on this show, somebody said they're billions of dollars still in debt.
No, they're still in debt. Everybody's in debt with this
What
stuff.
is this, like the Bitcoin of video here? I mean, is anybody making money on these things? Disney's not.
Yeah, and again, because they're staying out of the business by not having their own network, Sony.
So yeah, well,
and it's like, yeah, because hey, we'll make anything you want.
If any of those, I think Disney is the only one that would be able to survive.
Yeah, because they got money.
Any leveling of the playing field, yeah.
Because I was watching what is it? What's the Tombstone? No, not Yellowstone.
Oh, sure.
I couldn't figure out where it was, and somebody goes, "Oh no, you have to buy it." I said, "No, you don't understand. I have Paramount Plus." They go, "It's not on Paramount Plus." I go, "What are you talking about? I pay $5 a month not just to watch Star Trek. I thought I was watching Paramount." What it is you got the Paramount Network, which is on my basic cable that I paid for. You had to watch Yellowstone on Sunday nights at 8:00 when they showed it, because it wasn't streaming or anything else. But if you wanted to watch it, you could then go buy those episodes for $3.99. I go, I'm not paying another damn cent to you people. And then somebody goes, well, just wait a couple months. It'll be on Peacock, which is the NBC Universal thing for free.
But basically, if you pay attention to that, right? When it was on the Paramount Network, it was one and done showing, right?
Yeah.
And then when they moved it to Paramount Plus and it premiered there, they're like, "Ooh, now it's Paramount Plus premiere." And then when it was on Peacock, it's like, "Ooh, it's the Peacock premiere." And then when it was on CBS, "Ooh, it's the CBS Network premiere." I'm like, how many freaking premieres does Yellowstone have? It's only one damn show, and it's had 38 premieres.
I know. So yesterday I taped them all or DVR'd them all because they had a marathon where they showed all the episodes, and then the series finale was on last night. So that show's over with. And then it says, stay tuned now for the network premiere of 1923 with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. I go, wait a minute. I saw that over a year ago before the writer's strike. What do you mean it's a premiere? Yeah. Oh, like you said, Frank, it's the premiere on Paramount Network. It's brand new, but you saw it on Paramount or Amazon Plus or whatever the hell I paid for. I don't know.
Well, it's just like the licensing they do with Star Trek that Paramount does, where all of a sudden last year it was like, hey, where the hell are all the original cast movies and the next gen movies? How come? They're on HBO and they will be for the next 6 months because we made a deal. Hey, F you. I'm spending, like you said, Mitch, I'm spending money on Paramount Network to watch this stuff. How dare you take it away from the people that have your service? And now I've already got Max, thankfully. And we'll talk about a Max thing here or there in a minute. But yeah, it's like, what the hell are you guys doing? You guys are jerks. You treat your customers like jerks. And think, we're gonna come and we're gonna come to the theater. We're gonna come to this channel and stream. No, I'm sorry, we're busy. If you didn't notice it, again, I won't get into politics. There's a reason why there was a change in the administration, because people don't have the money they did 4 years ago. You jerks.
They pulled all the Indiana Jones movies off of Disney and put them. I think they're on Amazon right now. You could watch them there. But they didn't take the last one, Dial of Destiny. They left that one on the Disney Channel, but the other 4 Indiana Jones. I go, what in the hell is going on here, people? This is why people get frustrated and don't watch anything. Like me, half the time I'm like, I'm not watching that.
I'm not watching anything.
I can't find it. I don't know where it is. And then I end up watching reruns of the old Star Trek or Twilight Zone, stuff that I know, or I actually have the physical media that I could go put it into the machine and watch it because no one's taken that from me. And that's the other thing too. Physical media, I don't know why it went away, because if you had told me that I could buy such and such for $20 instead of buying a service for $20 a month or whatever, I would have gladly bought the damn DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever the hell they are just to keep them, and I'll watch them when I want to watch them, not be holding to whatever their schedule is, like wait for the marathon. This is getting ridiculous, Johnny.
You cut cable to get these streaming services, and they have a good show here on Netflix and then another good show. So I can't figure out which show's on where. I have to actually Google to find out where it's playing. Yeah. And then I'm hearing rumors that, maybe they'll consolidate. I'm like, well, that's freaking cable. That's what I got rid of before.
Yeah.
Before I get to a couple comments from James Bunt, I want to promote the fact for people that are watching live and also eventually for the audio feed as well. I'm going to talk to Rob Meyer Burnett later tonight, and we're going to talk about this very problem of physical media because my dear friend Chucky, who you guys know well, Chucky wanted to buy Mandalorian, Hawkeye, and a couple other Disney shows that were released, but they're only out apparently, and I don't know the full story, but Rob covers physical media like any great platform like that does media news. And it seems like the only way to buy them physically is 4K versions. There aren't Blu-ray or DVD versions.
I have them upstairs. I bought them.
And they're only 4K. They're only 4K.
And they're in a steelbook because I don't trust these stupid channels because Willow sucked, the TV series sequel to it.
Sure.
I watched the first episode and didn't watch again. But if you wanted to do it, you can't because they pulled it from the network. I saw Warwick Davis the other day putting it up because, hey, this was on 2 years ago, but thanks to Disney kissing the stockholder's ass, you can't watch it anymore because this guy worked on the whole show. And it's not on DVD. It's not on Blu-ray or 4K. It's nowhere. I don't know where it went. It's like they spent money on this and they made it and I don't know what's going on. Like,
well, I could be wrong, and I don't know, and I really wish to talk to someone who knows about the technical side of streaming. My suspicion is that everything even though there are literally in some cases over 1,000 titles to choose from, if not more, on a Netflix, on an Amazon, on any of these platforms, etc., maybe it does cost them money to stream anything. And therefore, they look at the numbers and go, well, you know something? Will is just not finding the audience. Let's just pull it because it's costing us too much money to even just have it up there as an option. Yeah. I could be wrong. I have no idea. But here's James Bunt with a couple comments. Fun fact, Sony was offered the rights to almost every Marvel character when they were looking for the Spider-Man rights in 1998. They could have had it all for $25 million, but they only wanted Spidey for $7 million. The reason being nobody gives a damn about other Marvel characters. And then further, he says nobody wants, and I'm assuming that's
Dial of Destiny.
Oh, Dial of Destiny. Thank you, Mitch, because I was thinking it was like Day and Date or whatever. But yeah,
no,
Dial of Destiny.
It is, all right.
Yeah.
I don't want it either.
So, and real fast, Melted Cooper, and we can certainly talk about it. Who isn't excited for Section 31? Me. Terrible trailer.
Pissed because did you see the guy with the black and white face in the trailer?
Yes, go on.
Dude, I didn't watch the show in a long time, but I remember it. Loki has a white and black face, and Belial has the black and white face. Those are the two guys left. Let this be my last battlefield. Was that the episode with the portion where they killed everybody off on the planet because they were so stupid? One was black and white, one was white and black, and that's why they fought with each other.
Right.
I thought, my memory's gone because I'm 58 now. I thought they were the last two people left on that planet, and they were still fighting. So how is there a goddamn waiter with that face? What did you get?
Earth is populated over half of it, so it's very possible that someone had something somewhere.
Don't ruin the old stuff. Just get a new alien.
Yeah. And again, it shows their inability to make something new. And instead, hey, look, you remember this? Look, it's just like Frank Gorshin back in the old show. Yeah, but again, aren't they the only two? Look, though. Look, who cares about actual details?
Well,
look at the face.
That took place before Kirk, right? So maybe they're still alive and brought them into Section 31.
No, what? Section 31? Section 31 can go anywhere.
I don't think the character is going to be part of the Section 31 team. I think it is a character that, in classic kind of whodunit form, might be a character that is information that is interrogated. And no, like Franco said, I'm sure they could explain and go, well, before the planet killed off the entire population, some of them left the planet and went to other worlds, I suppose. But again, instead of like, oh, isn't that cool? You got a lot of us going, what the hell? That's BS. And again,
Dorian, I would have been fine. Dorian with white hair. Who cares?
Also, Melted Copper says time travel gobbledygook can explain that, or a Q brought one back, I suppose. And the other thing, as James says, who knows when this thing takes place? Well, that's the problem, because you've got Captain Rachel Garrett as a young Starfleet officer, and she absolutely is in this movie. But this is 20 years before the Enterprise C, 30 years before the Enterprise C, but it's after Kirk's time. So, and again, we don't know where Giorgio was deposited by the BS Guardian with the Derby. And I'm not Doctor Who, even though I'm sure acting like a Doctor Who instead of the big concrete
the Oliver
donut.
Platt version of him.
No, that wasn't our Oliver Platt. It was I forget his name. Great character actor. He's in Wise Guy.
The big Guardian.
Was it? What? No, it wasn't Oliver Platt. But yeah, the guy reading the newspaper in Discovery. Once again, Discovery sucks. And these people don't know how to write Star Trek. And I'm sorry, but it just is so ridiculous. Melted Copper says maybe the guy from Sharon stored himself in a transporter.
All right. You know what? I'll buy that. I'll allow that. I'll say, okay.
By the way, I know we've talked about it before. Like, one of the great ideas in that Next Generation episode of Relics, and so Scotty, that, like, if anyone's going to survive in a transporter beam, it's Scotty. Meanwhile, we're going through an ion storm and it's going to be really busy. Well, let's all go in the transporter beams, 30 years before or 80 years before Scotty did it. And it's like, you guys suck. You guys took a really cool magic trick. Like, yeah, it's pretty ordinary, actually. A lot of people do it. Jerks, idiots. Because again, you can't come up with an original idea. Good Lord.
When is that on? January 20 something? Is that when it starts?
January 24th. Yes. So we're about 5 weeks away. Yeah.
It's a one and done movie, right? It's
correct.
Good.
Yep. Well, we'll see. Oh, but she's a bad bitch. It's so annoying. And it bums me out because I sound like Terry Jones. I really, really like Michelle Yeoh.
She's a wonderful actress. I just don't like the character.
I hate that character. And again, but she's struggling and she's looking for redemption. She ate people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if you eat people, it's really hard to and no disrespect Army Hammer.
Army Hammer, I'm gonna say, dude.
But if you eat people, kind of hard to get redemption. Ask Army Hammer why his phone isn't ringing. So, oh God, thanks, Stanley. Stanley says he loves it when Well, again, later tonight I got to do the math. I think it's at it's going to be 11. I think it's at 12:30 my time. It might be 1:30 in the morning Eastern time. But I'm talking to Rob Burnett later. So if you like me yelling about Star Trek, you're gonna get stereo when Rob and I get together and start ranking on this crap. But it's such a shame. And then I don't know how long between the Section 31 movie and the next season of Strange New World starts. But we're not gonna get that till the spring.
Yeah. So, well, they gotta make people pay $5 a month for something.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, as Jon Snow would say, winter is coming. Go on.
Yes. No, I was going to say there's a good show on Apple. Was it Apple TV? Apple TV has Silo, which I don't know if you're watching that one.
I'm aware of it, but I haven't started. Mitch, is it good?
It is, because it's one of those things I didn't want to watch, but after I was done watching Shrinking with Harrison Ford, it just goes into another show. So I had it on in the background, and I'm like, oh, what's this? And you start watching and go, oh, this is actually a good premise. It's about the fertility. This woman's trying to get pregnant, and then it's a science fiction type of thing, and they pick who can have a kid. And I'm not going to ruin the whole thing, but season 2 is starting now. So I'm like, there's quality stuff.
Apple has a lot of good stuff.
You gotta just find it all,
right. Well, and that's the thing. No, Apple has a lot of amazing stuff on it. And again, if you look, a lot of it is produced by Sony. But I do think I don't mind saying a little bit more about the premise, Mitch, for people who may not know that it's some sort of futuristic society that's living in a nuclear silo after the fact, and they don't know how good the atmosphere is on the surface.
Correct.
Yeah. No, it sounds mildly intriguing. Hilarious. Melted Copper. Let me upset you. He wants to know if there's any word on Star Trek Legacy after Picard season 3. It felt like hope. No. And again, it's pretty obvious that they don't want to be in the Terry Matalas business anymore.
No, that ain't going to happen. He moved on. Terry Matalas is working on, what the hell, Star Wars or no, Marvel?
No, The Vision. Yeah, he's going to do a Paul Bettany.
He's done. He moved on. He said,
and it's a shame. I mean, it's not to say that he can't come back. And perhaps the new Paramount owners, and that doesn't take effect until 25, until this coming year. So maybe something will change, and maybe it'll be, hey, that was a good idea. Here's a ton of money. get Jerry Ryan, get everybody, and let's do this. I
Oh.
hope they do. And the other hopeful thing that I have is with Lower Decks, and also Prodigy has done it as well. It is so great to see these veteran actors and characters come back and do these shows. And it's like, please, like, take advantage of. I mean, again, we know they're never going to do business with William Shatner again, and that's really a shame. But he is 93. But it's like all these people in their 70s and older. I don't know how old Andy Robinson is, Mitch. I don't know
he's 88. I had to buy his airline ticket.
Wow, there you go, man. Yeah. So, and listen, I'm thrilled that Andy is still out there, and it was.
Oh yeah, he's active.
He's such a good guy, and yeah, I mean, truly. But it's like, take advantage of it while these idiots are still. And I don't mean in a pejorative way when I call them idiots, but while they're still alive.
But here's another thing to your point. James Mangold, and this is going into Terry Metalis. James Mangold comes out last week in an interview with Variety or somebody saying how he felt hurt that the Indiana Jones fan base rejected the movie that he made. And it was really on them, the fans, because they couldn't accept that their hero had grown old and was, 80-something years old now, or late 70s, whatever the character's supposed to be. And he couldn't do what he used to do. And it broke his heart, too, that Harrison wasn't Harrison Ford from the 80s and the 90s. Sure. But this is who he is, and that's the story, and woe is me. And I said, I'm calling bullshit on this right now, Mangold, because you wrote and directed a story about another guy who was old and going in his last days. It was called Logan, and that worked really well. And then you said there can't be a hero in his 80s or 90s. Wasn't Jean-Luc Picard supposed to be 90s in the season 3? And I said, there was a finale done well where they got the fans to see what they wanted. They had the old characters come on and they did the little in-jokes to each other. You can do a successful story about a hero in their later days, in their 80s and 90s, if you're talented.
Mitch,
James
I read
Mangold dropped the ball, man.
I read that too, and he said, well, it was either, accept the fact that he's an old man, Indiana Jones is an old man, or you would have just had to start over with a new actor. And I'm like, yeah, that's the answer right there. Just start
it again. Yeah, they do
it.
Offering
that as an alternative. Yeah, that's what you should have done. Yes.
I completely agree, guys. I mean, I thought for sure Bradley Cooper by now would have made an Indiana Jones movie because it sounded like that was going to happen.
When I heard would have been fine with it. I thought that was going to be the end. Like he would disappear. It would be like the Lost Horizons. Like no one ever knows what happened to Indiana Jones. He went into some portal and never returned. He's lost in the jungle. And then we go start all over again where he's back in the 30s and the 40s with the Nazis. And I'm like, this would have been cool. Sure. You could have done that, but no, we're not doing that.
And again, it's our fault. It's our fault for not liking what you made. Yeah, for not liking what you made. Yeah. That was my fault. And by the way, first of all, because James asked if we're going to talk, we may as well talk about it now. Yeah. Have we talked about Creature Commandos? Sure, let's talk about Creature Command. Oh, first, couple comments about Indiana Jones from Melted Copper. Indiana Jones is best when questioning faith and over-the-top violence. Time travel in space, not so much. Old indie people melt hearts, get ripped out. They eat monkey brains. They get a few get crushed. That's what indie fans know and want with logical reasons. And then James says Indiana needs to become more like Henry Jones Sr. using his brains.
I thought that's what was going to happen. I was like, he's going to be like Sean Connery.
And then Under the Cowl says, if you want to enjoy indie again, play the new game. From what I'm hearing. I'm going to give it a try in a couple of weeks. Are you going to get that, Mitch, as an indie guy?
I don't have the newest system for it. My kid does, so I'm going to live vicariously through him. I would be playing it. I just don't have PlayStation 5 or Xbox One. I'm 58 years old, man.
Honestly,
I have the remote control half the time. I can't do these games. It's what channel was the goddamn thing on? Yes. I don't know. There's no sound. This is our house.
Chris Iliopoulos and I used to say, if we were smart, we would start like a community college extension course for nerds like over 50. And this is 10 years ago. Like, okay, I know you want to play the Xbox games and you have no idea to handle the controls. We'll teach you. Don't worry. We'll go step by step. Because truly, when Arkham City came out, all I could do was make Batman walk in a circle.
Yeah. It looks great. Here's a little secret for your viewers out there. You go to IGN.com, somebody, or on YouTube, somebody has taken all the cut scenes, the animated scenes from the Indiana Jones movie, and put them together. So it's a 3-hour movie. So you can literally watch the whole video game without playing the video game. I already started watching. I was going, "Ooh, this is better than the movie that came out because it's animated, and he's in the 40s again." So
they did that with the Injustice video games.
Yeah, you can,
and they were great because it's a good story. Stanley, respectfully, I disagree. They should have made Shia LaBeouf the new Indy.
No, he was miscast. He was
thank you. Yeah, no, thank you. Again, actually, I would say I love Art Baltazar's theory, and that is, oh God, now I'm blanking. Who played Teenage Indy?
Oh, Sean Patrick Flannery.
Yeah,
he was at my show.
And it's like
50-something years old. He's 58. He could have done it.
Exactly. One movie with Sean Patrick Flannery to transition between Harrison Ford and whoever you want next, because Flannery has already been Indy. So it's like, and I remember Artie telling me that he met him in San Diego one year, and he's like, "When the hell's your movie? You are Indiana Jones." And Flannery was like so happy that Artie told him that and stuff, which is great, man. No, I'm with
last year, and we said to him, "We thought you were going to be in the movie." He's like, "My phone didn't ring." I'm like, "Yeah." Or why isn't there a damn Short Round movie on Disney Plus?
Right.
Why? You got to do a Willow sequel. Nobody wants to see that crap. But I'll watch Short Round go on an adventure and kick ass.
I'm going to disagree with you. I wanted to see a Willow.
Well, not the one they made, because it's
not the one they made.
Now, and I have a comment on this before we get, and it'll be a good transition into Creature Commandos. But Melter Copper says Captain America in his World War II film couldn't even fight Nazis. The government market won't allow them anymore. But did you guys see the rumor too that there was a proposition within Marvel to post Endgame to make a new Chris Evans movie about him and Peggy in the 40s. Yeah. And it's like, well, I thought and they're like, well, we couldn't figure out a story. Again, why can't you figure out a story? It is right there for you. I mean, even when it happened at the end of Endgame, I'm like, well, this will be cool because then Steve can covertly still take care of stuff as Steve Rogers, but undercover. And if anything, wear that fantastic Shield super soldier outfit that he's in
Winter
second movie in Winter Soldier, and also in the comics and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's how you do it.
I know. This stuff is written already, which drives me nuts when they make shitty Fantastic Four movies. There, guys, it's storyboarded and scripted for you. You don't have to change anything. Just make what's on the page, and we'll go see it.
Hey, Johnny, did you see the rest of Diplomat? I know I'm changing the subject.
Yes, and I'm glad. No, I'm glad you brought it up, Frank, because I'm happy. Hey, it's a jump ball. Anything we've been watching that's great, and I've got other.
I also want to bring up. I just finished The Gentleman on Netflix, which I loved. I thought it was really good.
Cool.
You haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet, but Keira Knightley's new spy show looks great, and Michael Stafford, who helped Dennis Cowan write his Art of Dennis Cowan book that he just did a successful Kickstarter on. And Michael's got a really cool book that I'm going to talk to him about in January about James Bama's Doc Savage cover model.
Yeah, the artist. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, Michael is right. He's like, right now, and mentioning The Diplomat, I would put that in there as well. We are in such a great time for spy shows. And I know Diplomat is really more of a political show, but obviously there's that whole conspiracy underneath it. But between Slow Horses and a lot of these other great shows that are spy shows and stuff, they're amazing. I mean, they're really well made, and I'm very excited about all that. Black Dove, thank you, James. Yes, that's the name of the Keira Knightley one that's brand new. And I agree with Melton Cooper regarding the Fantastic Four thing. I think a Lady Silver Surfer is less than DEI higher and more of how can we sell a new surfer to make money on the back end. They can only reform a baked silver guy so many times. I disagree. And I think if you wanted a woman Herald of Galactus, again, as Mitch just said, look to the comics. There are plenty.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, it's Silver Surfer's a man. And I think it is one of the cheapest, like, well, we don't have an idea, so we're going to gender swap. Well, then get another job, because you really don't deserve the job you have if you think that's a proper solution to, well, we want it to be a woman, but and we want Silver Surfer, but there's a million great Fantastic Four stories, and I do think the Silver Surfer story is a great story. You're kind of a jerk changing the gender of the character. I'm absolutely against it. I hope I'm proven wrong by a good movie.
Yeah.
Say it again, Franco. Excuse me, I was talking.
I'm going to reserve judgment until I see it. But
yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I'll still see it, but I don't like it. I'll Oh, sorry, Black Doves is the name of the Keira Knightley spy show, but it looks great. And much like I watched the first episode. Much like Slow Horses, it's got a good suspense story, but it's also very funny. And another great suspense story. Hey, I'm late to the game. They're already on season 2. That Jeff Bridges show with John Lithgow, the old man.
Oh, the old man.
Oh man, I started that this weekend. Oh my God, that's great. And it's so nice to see, again, these guys are in their 70s. Oh, I don't know if we could make an Indiana Jones movie with Harrison Ford. Well, Jeff Bridges isn't that much younger, and seem to manage. And listen, I don't want Harrison Ford to break any bones. I don't want him to exert himself. But like you guys said, he could be like Henry Jones. He could be like Sean Connery.
Exerting himself. He's everywhere. He's in that 1923, 1928 Yellowstone thing. He's on Shrinking, which is on the second season.
Yep.
He's in the new Marvel movie. Don't give me this crap that he can't.
That's what I said too. They go, Harrison Ford's old. We can't do that. I said he plays a guy with Parkinson's disease on Shrinking, and he's fantastic doing it, and he's physical. We couldn't make. We had to make him a depressed, divorced drunk in a shitty college in the last movie. It's even my wife, who doesn't get involved with any of this stuff. When I was telling her about what the guy said, she goes, "No, he started off with a depressing situation. He made the character in a bad light, and you can't go anywhere but down when your hero is on his last day. It's not the Shootist with John Wayne." Which is a very good story. I was thinking that's how it was going to go out. Like, he's got cancer, he's dying, this is his one last roundup. Let's go out with a bang, literally. Nah, we're going to go out with a whimper, and it's because you guys can't handle it. Fuck you, man.
I'm with you. Nah, I understand, buddy. Believe me, it's frustrating.
Then when it bombs at the box office,
it's our fault.
Man up.
It's our fault. And
it's my fault
that
I didn't like it. I was there opening freaking day at the premiere. It's my fault.
I think James Mangold in the last 20 years is an exceptional director. And every now and then, and again, I kind of like Dial of Destiny a bit more than the general public, but I respect the frustration with Dial of Destiny. Absolutely. Under the Cowl says, I love Harrison, but his last few live appearances were a little rough. Yeah. And Melted Copper says Harrison Ford couldn't even wear a fake stash. Hulk villains are fighting Falcon and Cap cosplay, removing the nuke, and Rick Jones ruined the Hulk, now gave himself powers to be mad for fun, I guess. Well, we'll see whatever the story is of why he's the Red Hulk.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with why he doesn't have a mustache, because that Thunderbolt mustache would not have elected him president. And I agree that his people would have said, you got to get rid of the mustache.
Well, he says that one of the clips. He said he'll lose the mustache or lose the election, because no president ever had one.
I agree with them.
Even Lincoln didn't have a mustache. He just had the beard.
Yeah, he got rid of the mustache because of the election. Yeah.
He wanted to look more Amish.
People don't like
to get the Pennsylvania vote. He wanted the Pennsylvania vote.
Creature Commandos is really interesting now that you bring it up, John.
By all means, let's talk about Creature Commandos. I like it a lot.
I thought it was a lot of Suicide Squad meets Guardians of the Galaxy. A lot of over-the-top violence for an animated cartoon. It's not like a Saturday morning Super Friends show.
And a lot of sex, too.
It's a hard R. There's sex. Wait till you see episode 3.
There is a lot of sex, yeah.
Gunshot. People's heads are being blown.
I liked episode 3 a lot, actually.
Episode
I'm
3
excited to see it.
The first 2. Yeah, it's all about the robot. So
G.I. Robot, which is a great twist on G.I. Robot, that he still thinks World War II is going on and suspects everybody's a Nazi. Fantastic. Fantastic. Great idea. Excellent. And I like how they've positioned the Creature Commandos as like a monster Suicide Squad. Great idea.
I have one thing to say about this.
Please.
I know James Gunn. I've met James Gunn. I know his brother. I got him on my cell phone, the speed dial. I call him right now if you want to talk to Sean. But listen to me. Do we need to see James Gunn's caricature in the opening credits when it says, by James Gunn? I mean, is he that Walt Disney-like now that his name alone is going to make that the seal of approval? Because All right. I know he's great and he's talented, and I like the guy, but I was like, wow, James Gunn is now like Steven Spielberg.
Anybody who writes The Bride of Frankenstein having sex is okay in my book.
Yeah,
and further, I appreciated in Harley Quinn how James Gunn was a character in the animated series, and no, I think his instincts are strong, and it's so funny because some of the hater shows, and guys, I don't think I am a hater. I don't think we are haters in our attempt to figure out the shows that we like and we don't like. But some of the hater shows are like, because of that opening scene in Creature Commandos, where you see a lot of people on the street, and they had kind of a DEI attitude. And it's like, once again, Warner Brothers.
I didn't even see that.
I mean, that's the thing. It was, and also it was this much. It was this tiny little bit of the beginning, and it's like you're not watching the whole show, and shame on you, because as we've said, this is a raunchy comedy superhero show. Great, good, because I think there are enough adults. And certainly in Japan, we've been getting a lot of great adult animation for decades.
Right.
It's about time. I'm excited to see more nudity on Creature Commandos. I hope it continues in the raunchy direction.
Episode 3 is like anime, like those Japanese.
Great.
Because
good.
There's more headshots in this episode because of the robot shooting people. I'm watching, going, holy crap! But it's almost like, what was that movie, The Secret, The Kingsman? It's so nuts. You
over
just
the top.
become immune to it. When they were doing that church scene and everyone was getting shot in the first movie, you just like what, and Deadpool too. Deadpool Wolverine, they have that big fight with all the Deadpools. There's guns, swords, decapitations, machine guns. You just don't even see it anymore. It's like, okay,
I think it was before I was really doing these shows where, we talk about other TV shows and films and stuff. But there used to be a Cinemax TV series called Strike Back, and it was about a British military organization that went after terrorists and stuff. And it had so many sex scenes and kill shots to the head. And it was great because it was absolutely a hard R testosterone show.
Wasn't it?
What's that?
Was it a snuff movie? They were getting
it wasn't a snuff movie, but it was a really good military espionage show. And it ran like 5 or 6 seasons. It was excellent. Go ahead.
Did you ever watch Banshee?
Sure, I love Banshee.
Was it more raunchier than that? Because I was like, whoa.
No, it showed more kill shots than Banshee, but Banshee absolutely is violent and absolutely is sexual. And I mean, my God, this is why I love Anthony Starr, because he's Banshee, or he's, the lead guy, and then playing Homelander. And it took me about half a season to realize, oh my God, it's the guy from Banshee. Yeah. And also, I only saw him on one late night show. I think it was Seth Meyers being interviewed. And that guy is so 180 degrees from both the Banshee character and Homelander. He's this nice, gentle guy. Yeah. And I know he's doing commercials now for some like game on your phone or whatever.
Yeah, no. I see him do comic conventions, and they'll be like, recorded panels. I don't even know who it is for a bit, because I go, who is that talking? He's got dark hair. Sometimes he's got glasses on. I go, oh shit, that's Homelander. Now that's a good actor when you can't even tell what they are when they're in real life. You're like, who is that? Oh yeah. Like Gary Oldman. For years, it was like, oh, Gary Oldman, what he normally looks like, you don't know. But now he's aged into his face. He's Commissioner Gordon. He's on the he doesn't try anymore. It's the same.
Well, and I'm telling you, Slow Horses is like one of his greatest roles. He's so funny in that show, and so smart. I mean, and that's what I love about Slow Horses. They could do the dual track of some absurdist humor, but also tell a really smart and a really interesting spy show at the same time. And that show just keeps killing it season after season. So I'm really getting it. And that's why I'd heard nothing but great things about The Old Man. And I'm like, all right, well, again, there are other things that I probably should be watching, but no, I like Creature Commandos. I love that Frank Grillo is, however you say his name.
Grillo.
Is it Grillo? Okay. Rick Flag Sr.
Yep.
And I'm glad, because I always appreciate, again, being an old fan of Silver Age comics as much as modern stuff, I've always loved the original Rick Flag from the Suicide Squad days. And it's great to see him back, because I was bummed when they killed Joel Kinnaman's Rick Flag in the second Suicide Squad movie, because I'm like, oh, wait, man, no, he's got to be there. Someone, it's got to be a Rick Flag leading the group and everything. So we got that. Good. I'm for it.
Here's a question for you. Did you watch Crisis episode 3 or
Not
part
no,
3?
not yet. Tell me, talk to me,
Well,
Mitch.
it's not good. I'm sorry. I'm just saying that.
I have to
I'm
watch it
gonna
to finish it. But go ahead.
I'm going to ask this question because Franco works for DC. Is DC's strength? Well, it kind of does. Is their strength is when they come to their movies and sometimes it misfires, is they try to get more of an adult audience. I mean, not the story because it's guys in tights. It's stupid to begin with. But I'm saying they're going for more violence. They're going for the harder R because they did it before Marvel did. Marvel did it with Deadpool, I think, was the first rated R, and that was like a big deal. But DC's been trying to do it all along. They had the Birds of Prey movie, the Joker movie that just came out, and the second one that didn't do well. But is that what their audience is, and we've just missed it? Because I grew up with the Super Friends and Batman with Adam West, and I'm thinking rated G superheroes, and that's why when I go to their movies now, I hate them because I go, oh, they're too violent, and this guy's killing too many people, and Superman shouldn't be this. He should be bright and cheery. Now that James Gunn is there, and James Gunn has a habit of doing some violent movies. He did a movie called Super years ago with Rainn Wilson, which is super violent as well. I mean, the sidekick gets her head blown off in the movie.
Yeah, Juno, who's now Elliot, and I can't remember Elliot's last name. Forgive me.
Page.
Oh, Elliot Page. That's right.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, is that the secret between the two of them? Like Marvel is going for more of the PG, wholesome family fun, lightheartedness, but all the DC stuff the last couple of years has been more adult, if you will, more violent, more this and that, and that's where the disconnect has come because the fans aren't accepting the live action versions because they're not ready for that.
I have no idea.
I'm just saying because look at the Joker. I watched that last night. Joker 2 was on HBO right now.
Yes.
And I go, this is a totally different movie. I mean, obviously it's, more violent, this and that, but it's not Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly, Mitch. It's not. I mean,
the Batman movie that came out with Pattinson. Again, darker, violent. The Penguin, for God's sakes, the Penguin was Sopranos. So I'm saying, is that the DC? You just got to accept it. It's like, this is what it's going to be. We're not going to do Christopher Reeve Superman. We're not going to do Michael Keaton Batman. We're going for the PG-13 rated R superhero world. That's it.
It's going to be interesting to see what James Gunn's Superman is going to be like, because I guarantee that that's what's going to set the precedence for DC in terms of, but James Gunn did the Suicide Squad and stuff like that, and there was violence and stuff in there. But I'm curious to see what this version of Superman is going to be, because I don't think it should be dark and gritty like the Snyder ones, and I like parts of it. There's other parts I didn't like, but I have faith and hope that he gets Superman and that we get Crypto and we're going to get Supergirl and hopefully it's versions that I like. But
is it like the 70s era comics you're talking about, that type of theme? Before the 80s, everything shifted. That's when everything started.
Yeah, we don't know though, Mitch. We won't know until we.
No, but I'm saying, what do you think the modern audience would accept? What do you think people want to see? Do they want to see a return to the wholesomeness?
I think you want to see. People ask me that about kids comics and older comics. I want to see a good story.
Right, good. That's all we ask. Good.
I want to see a good story. Like, if you take James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy, nobody thought, like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing the Guardians of the Galaxy? Love the first movie. Second movie was okay, not bad. Loved the third movie. I mean, he's got me bawling my eyes out about a fucking raccoon, dude. And it was great, So just give me a good story. Give me a good story. Give me some good characters. Give me some fun scenes. And that's what I want in my entertainment.
Here's what a couple of the people say about what you guys are talking about. Stanley says DC does a variety of styles. Marvel only does safe because of Disney. I agree to that. Yeah. And Melted Copper says, sad that the Flash film, without Flash actor cameos or even Flash villains, and a daytime Batman fighting Superman rogues, even dead people and a fired guy got cameos, but no John Wesley Shipp or Grant Gustin. I hear you. But no, I think what Stanley said is right. And that's the thing. It's like, no, they are willing to try a bunch of different varieties of styles. But I also think that, and I'm glad that animation is broadening to include those more violent or more sexual ideas as well. I'm okay with that. Again, Harley Quinn was a very funny, raunchy comedy. Very
Right.
funny.
No, Harley Quinn's great. I like it. And now, with that said, with raunchiness and more adult themes and stuff like that, Star Trek, go back because it's Star Trek.
Sure.
We haven't ever seen that, as far as I know, in any of the Trek versions we've watched. Have they ever tried to go for a more adult sci-fi violent thing? Because when Quentin Tarantino was going to do a Star Trek, they were throwing that out years ago. I actually wanted to see what that would have been like. I don't know if it would have been good, but they've never really. I mean, you got Khan is like the baddest dude they had. He's like killing people, cutting their throats and stuff, but it's all off camera, you know? I mean, nowadays they would show him doing it, you know, like look at him ripping the SETI out the worm out of the guy's ear and stuff.
It's kind of like both Khan and the Borg are both the best and worst things ever to happen to Star Trek, because unfortunately, the current writers keep going back to the well for both the Borg and Khan. And it is really annoying. And it's like, you know, they wrote a lot of more interesting aliens and other ideas. You could expand. No, we really can't, because again, they stick to the flashcard memory of pop culture. Beam me up, Scotty. It's logical. Kirk sleeps with green women. It's all the BS, and it's like, you know, there really are subtleties underneath all that. Go ahead. What was that, Franco?
I was going to say, I'd watch a movie of Kirk and green women. Yeah.
No, you know what, though? Because I think the worst thing they ever did with the Borg was the Hugh episode. Though it was well done, and I liked the character.
Which one? The first one?
When they first introduced him, because when they humanized him, it's like when you see the stormtroopers take off the helmet in Star Wars, and you say, "Oh, there's a guy under that." Now you go to watch those shows. Oh my God, he's killing thousands of stormtroopers. I thought they were just his faceless clones, but then when you get to see what they are, you're like, oh, that's kind of. I don't need it. I don't know if I need to have adult themes like, oh well, clones are people too. Sometimes you just need a black and white cardboard villain to be the thing and walk away from it. You don't have to say, well, they're not Nazis, they're Hydra agents, because we can't say the other thing, but Hydra's okay. We could shoot them. Like, wait, what are we doing here? You know?
But sticking with Star Trek, go back to What Are Little Girls Made Of with the original Dr. Corby episode.
Yeah.
And obviously they're going to play with Roger Corby in Strange New Worlds, likely this coming season. There is a sexual undercurrent there, given Andrea, the hot robot, and obviously Chapel's like, well, yeah, Roger, I don't think you're just changing your tubes every 6 months or charging your batteries. I have a feeling you're, it's a pleasure bot as well. I always assumed that and in fact, when she kind of breaks down and is like, I must love you, I must kiss you. It's like, so I think there's always been that level of sexuality within Star Trek.
Yeah.
For
Tasha and Data, you're fully fine.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and even some really brave episodes that, again, today's audience, not enough. And it's like, you got to think of context in the 80s and 90s. And you know something? It was pretty bold on DS9 to have Terry Farrell as female Dax find an old relationship with an old wife when Dax was male, and the problems of it. And it's like, well, there should have been a problem. Well, then there's no story. And further, they were getting crap, sadly, in the 90s. There is a reality of where the society is and what a society will handle. And sadly, there are still pockets of the society that don't accept this as entertainment. Things are getting better, but don't judge something that was made in the 80s and 90s based on a 21st century point of view, because you're going to be disappointed every time. And you really have to, context is really important, but a lot of people don't care about context. They want change and they want it now. That's funny. B Thing says he wants to see more Nausicaans.
I love those guys. They were scary looking and mean. Yeah.
And also play dumb jut, human.
Oh, yeah. And when he stabs the card right through the chest, I was like, holy shit.
And I don't know if you guys have ever read the novelization that Roddenberry himself wrote for the first movie, but as B Things points out, Kirk is named after his mother's love instructor. That is true. And there's a lot, like, they spend, I don't know how many pages, but when the Ilea robot is found in the shower and she's naked, Roddenberry takes this time describing that it's naked Ilea, and because she's a Deltan, that she's giving off the pheromones, and how hard of a time all of them are having while staring at naked fake Ilea in the shower. And it's like, hey man, take it easy.
I remember that record album that came out. I think it was called Inside Trek in the 70s. And it's Mark Leonard and it's Gene Roddenberry, and they're just interviewing him.
Forrest Kelly, Shatner.
I'm a kid. I'm like maybe 9 years old. I get this album. I'm listening to it, and he starts talking about Spock when he's in his mother's womb and the logic and this. And I'm like listening to this, and my dad's like, "What the f- are you listening to? Come on, this is 1976, kid. This is that free love hippie shit. Get that out of here." But it was so weird. And think about it, that was 50 years ago. They were trying to do some adult stuff, but then it got dumbed down, and I knew action's always going to sell. People want to see, Buck Rogers and stuff.
Sure.
But there is a Star Trek out there. Maybe it's in the book form. That is. Imagine if it's just like a freaking adult, not like adults, like a porno movie. But I'm just saying,
more mature.
Because we'll go on to that. What's the new show? Skeleton Crew. And we were joking about that. They found the planet of the accountants because they're so boring. It's like everybody, there's Jedi Knights, there's smugglers, there's pirates. Oh, here's a planet where the guy has glasses on and he's got to drop his kid off at school. It's like, wait a minute. Star Wars has freaking suburbs? Is that what's going on here? It's what the frig is this,
Well, before we get off of Star Trek real fast, because I do want to talk about Skeleton Crew. I'm glad you brought it up. In the 70s, they had those Trek magazines, and they collected the articles into books called Best of Trek. And one of the essays postulated why Sarek and Amanda ended up together and stuff. And they're like, there were even world and Earth and Vulcan implications that maybe to help kind of stabilize the relationships between Earth and Vulcan. That's one of the reasons why Sarek ended up marrying Amanda. Now, it was just a fan's theory,
interesting though, because there's different characters. It's like this is this astute, logically minded guy. Was he in Pon Far Heat, and he was going for anybody that was in the room? And
maybe they just had Star Tinder. Yeah,
exactly.
Star Tinder. Hey, I'm Amanda. If you don't like me, swipe right, swipe left.
Yeah,
hilarious. Well, let's talk about Skeleton Crew, because I really was like, I don't know if I was telling Chuck, I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch this, Chuck. I don't need the Goonies in space.
That's what I was calling it, Goonies in space.
It's like whatever. But I have to admit, I watched all 3 episodes. I like it, and I really like Jude Law.
Yeah.
And beyond the planet of the accounts, there's got to be some sort of mystery of that planet, because how is it that nobody else in the galaxy knows about this planet and thinks it's a myth? And further, that when they were at the space station, and the little boy had his the money that his dad gave him, and they referred to it as vintage Republic credits.
Right.
And it almost suggested to me that maybe there's some time travel or something going on, that the accountant planet is actually, when they went into hyperspace, maybe they traveled through time as well.
I don't know
either, but I like it. It's an intriguing mystery. So that's my theory.
I hated that kid. I hated the main kid with the black curly hair.
I completely agree.
Oh man, I almost had to shut down and stop watching it, because I'm like, how? I know some. Never mind. I don't.
Hey man,
I don't want to go down that path of bashing it, but I
will.
When Jude Law showed up, I'm like, okay, now we're back to a sense of something that I can watch, but I just almost had it with that kid, and I'm like,
well, that's the thing, and thankfully it's very sparingly that it's happened this way. But when the girl is going to be the captain, well, I want her to be the captain. Shut up. Okay, please don't write.
That kind of arguing I can deal with.
Well, it makes sense, but it's just annoying.
Deal with was him just one stupid decision after another. Every decision this kid has made, he should have been dead at this point, because he's made just so many stupid decisions in a row from the very beginning of the series, and possibly even before we started the series. I can't write him off the show. Get him off the show.
Well, maybe he'll die. I doubt it, but maybe But it really is, and isn't it interesting? It really is Star Trek Prodigy, but through the Star Wars lens. I mean, it's. All right, a bunch of kids suddenly find a ship and they go off tooling into space, and everybody's after them. But isn't it? I mean, I don't know what time period, and maybe somebody in the chat knows, but I don't know what time period.
I think it was like right around the time of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
somewhere in that time period.
Because they sent X-wing fighters to find the kids.
Yeah, right.
Not-
And the kid was playing with Jedi Knights, so they must have known about Luke Skywalker or something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, or Jedis in general and everything. But yeah, I was again, but intriguing questions to make me want to go further. Now, again, I point to Discovery, where hey, guess what? There's no dilithium in the future. Well, why? That's very intriguing. Well, it's because this kid started screaming, and it's like, thanks, way to go. Once again, you shot yourself in the foot, Star Trek. Congratulations, limp it off.
We did a whole season to see what the answer was, and you got there, you're like, "That's it."
Crap. Well, just like the last season of Discovery. Crap. Sorry. Crap.
When the whole Red Angel thing started, that's when I was
Crap.
like, I hate this show. From then on, but then when they went into the future, I was like, "Oh, clean slate. We're going to start." Remember that first episode? They were out in the bar in the snow. I'm like, this is going to be good. It's going to be week to week, a different episode. We're going to do that little. Yep, that went out the window.
Crap. So yeah, we'll see. We'll certainly see with the Section 31 movie. But and I will say for Skeleton Crew, I do like the little elephant kid, like the Max Rebo race, and he's funny, and the girls are funny. Although again, the main girl, little bossy, but okay, whatever. She is, but she looks older, so maybe it's like, all right, that's fine. And I like the interplay with Jude Law, and I love Jude Law. I'm happy as hell.
Jared Ordway was saying it was basically a version of Treasure Island. We were talking about it the other day.
Sure,
he's like,
that's fair.
It's Treasure Island with the kids meet the pirate and they go looking for the treasure. I was like, oh, okay, I can.
That's fair. I mean, again, to me, it's Goonies, but okay.
Yeah.
The thing that bothers me is the small little things, like when they start talking about it's a pirate ship and they get on the ship and the kid puts on a pirate hat.
Yes.
Like, why does it have to look exactly like a pirate hat from Earth? Those are the little things that
I'm with you.
Kind of.
You know what throws me? The dad had eyeglasses on, and he only saw one other character in all the Star Wars universe wear eyeglasses. It was this scientist on the Mandalorian or whatever it was. He was like the guy running the clone experiment. But it just throws you for a loop because you go, oh, they have glasses there?
But what about one of the alien, the woman alien from the sequels, the Rey movies? She doesn't have actual eyeglasses,
but bifocal things. The magnifiers. I was like, what
the? Stanley wants to know if we have any thoughts on the Christopher Reeve documentary.
It's brilliant. I watched it the other day. It's sad because you know how it's going to end.
Yeah,
I mean, there's what happened to Christopher Reeve? I don't see him anymore. But there's a lot of behind the scenes footage of the making of Superman 1 and 2 and even 4. So that was really great to see that, and all those old newsreel clips with him, President Carter at the premiere of Superman, and Dick Donner talking about the movie. That was great.
Oh wow! I'm so glad they have Dick Donner footage. That's great.
Yeah. And then they get into the tragedy of what happened and how he lived his life, which is a whole second version of the movie, which it's hard to watch. But
that's the thing, man. I can't. I really can't. It's too upsetting. It bums me out.
No, I met him twice.
Really?
His accident. Yeah, he was at a fundraiser in New York City with Robert Kennedy Jr. But then I was at my college. He showed up too. I'll tell you, dude, if anybody was ever going to walk, I thought this guy was going to do it because he was so confident. And he comes in a room and you see him in that chair. And it's just like, oh God, look at the poor.
I met him before the accident, and he's an impressive guy. He's tall,
6'4", 6'5", something like that.
Yeah, he's 6'4", 6'5", and he, when I saw him, I'm like, holy shit, that's Superman.
Yeah,
his hair was colored different. It wasn't the jet black. It was like this blonde.
Sandy blonde. Yeah,
but like he was impressive. Yeah,
I loved a lot of his non-Superman movies. I love Somewhere in Time. I love. Even that terrible he's great in Death Trap. Absolutely. I was going to do a bad one that he made, unfortunately, with Kathleen Turner and Burt Reynolds, Switching Channels, which was like it was His Girl Friday in a modern media world. Basically the same story though, and he plays like the good-looking fiance that Kathleen Turner is going to marry instead of staying with Burt Reynolds. But he just is he was always great, always
Yeah.
happy, and such a like you said, Mitch. Yeah, such a positive guy, and that's why. Yeah, it upsets me. I loved when he showed up in Smallville as Professor
Oh
Swan.
yeah.
That was fantastic.
I wish I asked Tom Welling about that at
Oh,
the
I
show
bet.
when he was
Yeah,
there. Yeah, it would
I
have been
bet.
nice to know.
Oh,
But
go
I
ahead.
know I was going to say one other thing about they show the progress he was making, and you just want to cry because you see his fingers started to move again. He was starting to get some movement in his hand. It was like somehow it was rebuilding. You're like, oh my god, it might actually happen. But the guy says the reality of it is he was like that for a good 9 years, almost 10 before he passed away. His body just gave up. I mean, this guy. I mean, he
Yeah,
every day they had to like
sure.
just to get him to breathe. He couldn't breathe on his own. We're talking that's the monument. I mean, you just take it for granted. But this guy, every single day, every second, he was trying to think of, I got to, the respirator's working. I got to do this. I got to do that. I can't move my head. It was
Have
a
you
lot.
have
So,
you guys seen the TV movie that he made? It was a remake of the Hitchcock classic Rear Window.
yeah, I saw that. I
He
remember
was
that.
great in that. He was
Yeah.
fantastic, and obviously it's when he's in the chair, and it really showed you a version of probably some of the real breathing issues he
They
had.
show that in the movie when the tube pops off. The respirator tube, like they call it a pop off because the tube just pops off. You can't scream, you can't
Right,
call for help because you
right.
can't. There's no air in your lungs, and you're at the mercy of a machine. And you hope a nurse sees the flashing light, knowing that you can't breathe. And he talks
Yeah.
about that in the movie, how you're there for a couple minutes, and you're just dying. You're literally dying because
Sure.
and I'm like, it's
Yeah.
terrifying to watch it. And I was like, oh my god, the thought of not of suffocating and being awake. Ugh, whatever.
No, I hear you, man. No, it's a shame.
And then his poor wife, a year after he
Yeah.
passed away, she died of lung cancer, and she didn't
Yeah.
even smoke. So life's weird that way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
his kids are on it. Will and Matthew, I think his name, his daughter. And one of them's going to be in the new Superman movie. Going to have a cameo.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, so that'll be something to see.
Yeah, that's
But,
cool. That's cool.
it's good. Watch it. I mean, it is what it is. Life sucks, but what are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
I we'll see. I can't say that I'm like anxious to see it.
Yeah, it's well done.
Because unfortunately, although I'm trying to make a move, and we haven't scheduled it yet, but there's also a new documentary called "Selling Superman," and it's all about somebody discovering a first issue of the Superman comic, not Action, but the regular Superman comic, and selling it. And it sounds great. And yeah, the producers behind that are like, hey, would you like to, talk to our filmmaker?
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
dude,
"Yes,
because
please."
somebody at the comic shop mentioned it to me last week when we were talking about the Chris Reeve one. They said, "Oh, did you watch Selling Superman? It's about the family's fight over this guy's comic book collection, and Superman one's in there, or Action Comics
Yes,
ones."
it's Superman one. It's the 39 first issue. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
so yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, also I know the guy from here in Chicago, the guy behind Gary. I want to say his name is Columbo or Columbardo, but he was the guy from Moonstone Comics here in Chicago, which was a big chain in the 80s and 90s. And he has some really rare stuff that he's finally selling as he's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
And he had an ash can of, I want to say, Superboy. So the interior was not at all Superboy material, but they just basically, to get the trademark established before the book actually started coming out, they ran off, I don't know how many copies of this ash can with a cover that had a Superboy logo on it and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And it's a very valuable, probably 6-figure comic, if not 7 figures. So, yeah. So, no, I find that interesting. I also find all the, what you need to do with a Silver Age or a Golden Age book in terms of pressing the wrinkles out, restoring covers, restoring tears, and things like that. No, it's very the collector's market is still very interesting. So I will be checking that
There
out.
was a guy at Terrificon last year had a Captain America 1 from 1941 signed on the inside by Jack Kirby. It was verified with Kirby's signature, and he sold it for like $150,000 because it was raw. And
what do you
then
mean raw?
Raw, I mean it wasn't sealed in those slabs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was like a physical book. You could pick it up.
So it wasn't great. It wasn't graded yet.
It wasn't
basically?
graded. No. He sold it as is. So, but then
Good
the
for
guy
him.
bought it and got it. Yeah, but
wow. No, that's impressive.
85 84 years old already, 83 years old.
Yeah, 83. Yeah, 83 years. Yeah.
This paper wasn't designed to last 83
No,
years.
well,
So,
again, that's why those original Golden Age comics are valuable.
yeah.
And it's so funny. A friend of mine, he knows someone that has Star Trek commemorative coins from the 80s. And he's like, do you know how much they're worth? I'm like, probably crap.
They made
Because, well, it was one of those, limited edition.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's a limited edition. We only made 100,000 of these.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It's not valuable. I mean, working in sports radio through the 90s, I would see a lot of this manufactured sports memorabilia where they'd get Mickey Mantle to sign a plate, and then they'd put it on a wooden frame with a nice photo of Mickey Mantle. And, wow, it's $500 because it's a limited edition. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to even be worth $500 in 3 years when the smoke clears. So
it's like this, John.
Yeah, there you go.
Leonard Nimoy signature. Look at that.
Listen, no, but you didn't buy that to hopefully put your kid through college. You bought it because it's cool.
No, I didn't buy it at all. My sister gave it to me.
Oh, there you That's good.
But it could be yours for $50. Look, it's signed by Leonard Nimoy. It's got a Mr. Spock. It's 482 out of 2,500. It was for the Star Trek 25th anniversary. So, what year are we on now? 58. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a certificate of authenticity.
Oh, so even better.
This is
Still
personally autographed by Mr. Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy. Somebody earlier in the chat asked about, speaking of Leonard Nimoy, his 70s In Search Of TV show. And
I love that.
I love that show.
It's excellent. The only thing I would say is that it is traditional documentary style of archival photos, archival footage, a lot of shots of people with talking heads where, their background is a stack of books and everything. But all that said, what I appreciated about it was, and watching Nimoy do a career encompassing interview, and he talked about when he was making In Search Of, he was doing, I forget which play in New York when they shot the wraparounds, the intros and the outros.
I think it was Equus.
Might have been Equus. I don't remember. But regardless, they shot entirely in New York for all of his intros. And he said they would find these amazing locations. Like he goes, they found this private cemetery. So when he did an episode about the occult, they shot there. They shot in front of a graystone or a brownstone, classic kind of architecture and stuff. Again, they would find these like appropriate locations just being in New York and just finding different little things. But no, it's an excellent show. I absolutely recommend it.
You know what helped that show because of the low budget? It was the lighting and it was the sound effects. Because they would go, we're looking for Bigfoot. And I don't know what the hell noise of what is that machine? The Foley machine? But you would hear this like, wow, wow. And it would be like, oh my God, that's scary. It's going into my soul. I'm afraid to go outside. And they would show like a guy in a gorilla suit, but they would film it out of focus. And you'd hear, oh my God, dude, at 7:30 at night, when that would come on, I'd be scared shitless. I didn't want to go to bed. I'm like, oh my God.
I remember watching it in the afternoons on reruns.
I used to watch it. It used to be on 7:30 at night before the network shows would come on, like Tuesday night. And we'd go, oh, you got to watch In Search Of tonight. It's going to be about Bigfoot or about the Yeti or about Loch Ness Monster.
Bermuda Triangle.
I guess I watched them in reruns because I would watch them, I think, on like a Saturday afternoon on Channel
really?
5 they would come on or something like that. And I'd be like, ooh, these things are real because they're
yeah.
No, it's a great show.
They brought it back with Zachary Quinto a couple years ago, but the problem is they try to explain everything. That was the whole thing of it. You left it to your imagination. He's like, is there life after death? I'm going to talk to renowned scientists. And so what you're saying is that the body does change. I'm like, no. Do the speculative stuff. He used to tell you right in the opening of the In Search Of It said, this stuff is not based on fact, but theoretical things and speculation. Right. Yeah, it was like the National Enquirer, man. You didn't want to watch. If I wanted to watch educational shit, I would have put on PBS. No, I wanted schlock, scary ghost stories. That's why I was watching In Search Of, not this reality shit.
Well, and it was just a little too cute making Quinto the new host.
Yeah.
And tying him further to Nimoy. And it's just like, listen, you played Spock. That's more than enough. Relax.
You got it. You didn't talk about one thing, Johnny, before you sign off.
Oh, no.
Superman and Lois came to an end.
Mitch, I'm so glad you brought it up because I did want to talk about that. What did you think of how they wrapped everything up?
I thought it was again when we were talking about adult themed Supermans and stuff like this, and what's James Gunn going to do. This show was right there in front of you. I mean, it got off track a little bit with the Bizarro season, but at the end, I never saw a better finale for a superhero show. And spoiler alert: Superman dies, Lois dies,
Come on.
everyone dies.
Everybody
Everyone
dies.
When Mike Kong dies, everyone cries. But anybody, the actor Tyler Hoechlin,
Tyler Hoechlin, yeah.
and Bitsy, can't think of her name. The Lois,
Yeah.
dude, it was great. It was so well
they're
done.
great.
It was
Yeah.
just the last 10 minutes of that show. You'll be crying your eyes out when he passes away and he sees his life go beyond in front of him again.
But my only minor complaint about that show in general was, and it's
CW, buddy.
What's that?
It's a CW show.
Well, but I was going to say the characterization of all the CW shows, they just put too many characters in that you don't care about. And it's like, it's called Superman and Lois. I don't care about Beppo, the woman that runs the Smallville newspaper with, and I hate it even more when the fireman leaves Lana Lang, and they're a couple now, and it's like, we don't care. You are, I mean, literally, I would just fast forward during those scenes. It's like, I don't give a damn. I also don't give a damn about John Henry Irons and his daughter.
Great story for 1 or 2 episodes, but not for the whole season. Like, I get it. He wants to have like, oh, I got a whole family. You got 2 kids. That was enough. The family dynamic. You had him and his wife and the 2 super sons.
Yes.
That's all you need.
That's all you needed.
That's enough characters for 4 seasons. But you're right. They started getting this one in and Bizarro. That's why I said it went off track a bit, because they brought in the Bizarro Superman, but it was like, oh my God, I don't care.
I actually liked the Bizarro Superman storyline of season 3 and how it played out in season 4.
Well, Doomsday and Cudlitz did a great job too.
Michael Cudlitz was amazing, and I really appreciated a more physical and angrier Luthor than the cold, calculating scientist or businessman. And I thought that was really interesting. And I loved, my God, from that final season when he tricks out the street. And puts the red sun street lamps out there, and he and Clark have
they go right at it.
Powers bare knuckle fight, and they beat the hell out of each other. And it's like, that is great. That's fantastic. That is exactly what I wanted. So on balance, I think it was a good show. I do think they stuck the landing. But it kind of reminded me of Discovery, where they wrapped up the final villain issues with 30 minutes to go. And we got a lot of, a lot of, like you said, I mean, I didn't mind us finding Lois and Clark through their lives, what happened to them. That was okay. But again, all the goodbyes to all the other cast members. It's like, you're wasting my time. Don't care.
He saw Beppo. He saw the fire guy. He's going through that. I go, come on, dude. I don't go. If I'm dying, I hope I don't walk through the house and there's the mailman. There's the guy that goes down the street, walks the dog with me. I'm like, come on. These were not significant characters in my life, all right?
And also,
where was Mom Pop Kent?
Yeah. And also, they should have. There's a young woman that played like a cashier or something at one of the convenience stores that the kids kept going to.
Yeah.
And she looked just like Natasha Irons, John Henry's daughter. I mean, I'm like, is that her stand-in?
Yeah.
No, like at first, because I'm like, oh, is Natasha working there? Or Natalie? I forget what her name was. And it's like, no, that's another character. And it's like, I bet she is like a stand-in or the stunt woman for Natasha. Yeah, because it's like she looks exactly like, I mean, like her hairdo was exactly the same.
But that was it. That's the end of the CW DC universe. Arrowverse, Flash.
10 years. Hey, 10
Black
years.
Lightning. They did a lot, man.
They got nothing to apologize for. And it's so funny because, again, all the hater nerd YouTubers and stuff. Well, good riddance and blah blah blah. And it's like it lasted at least 10, if not 11 years. They must have been doing something. And I understand they're like, those shows didn't make money. Well, they were expensive, and further, and maybe they would have been less expensive if they didn't have such giant casts. Because Arrow, the Flash, and Superman and Lois all had giant casts that were completely unnecessary. But also, I think they would have being on the CW. The CW doesn't have affiliates the way ABC, NBC, CBS, or even Fox now, which only started in the 80s. But it's like half of the CW's affiliates are also like CBS or ABC or NBC affiliates, and they show a little bit of the CW programming. It's hard to find if you're not in a major city. It's hard to find the show. And yeah, I think there were too many other obstacles within the financial structure of the CW for it to make money. And I understand.
I don't know if they canceled it because the movie's coming out and they were like, oh, we don't want to keep Superman on TV and then have him in the theaters because it'll confuse people because they're stupid.
No,
like,
the CW is getting out of the Warner Brothers business. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. And it was funny because, when the CW was originally formed, it was also partially CBS and partially the Superstation WGN here in Chicago.
Oh, really?
And the executives for GN are like, enough of this superhero crap. We wanted, and that's why they left the CW. And like, we want to explore other genres. And it's like, well, dumbasses, I don't know how to break it to you, but you might want to notice that all the box office movies right now have been superhero films. Real fast, because I know we've been going 2 hours, but and it's something I'm going to talk about with Rob Burnett when we talk a little bit later. The environment of the studios and the streaming platforms, man, they are still like reeling from the strikes from last year and even COVID and overspending money on things that don't succeed. And wow, we spent $200 million on that high school or on that Grease TV series on Paramount, The Rise of the Pink Ladies. And it did,
is that real?
Oh yeah, that actually was a show.
I just made that up.
And shows you how good or bad it was that it didn't find an audience. And it's like, again, you guys wasted money on something. Nobody asked for this. That's what, going back to Craven. Nobody asked for a Craven movie. Nobody asked for a Madam Web movie. And again, to make these movies without the important parts, if you're going to do a Grease thing like something like that, I don't know how you make it good because obviously everybody that was in the original Grease is either dead or really old.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I just, I don't know when or how the studios pull themselves out of this audience funk and their bad decisions of what they greenlit and what they don't greenlit.
I just saw Christian Slater on the local TV shows promoting Dexter, the prequel series.
Yes.
Why? He goes, well, this is what's going to show you how he became the serial killer that he did. Who gives a shit? I mean, honestly, you already had a show. It's called Dexter. It came, it went, it ended. Move along. I don't want a prequel to see him, killing little animals. Now he's going to become a serial killer. Who thought this was a good idea? I don't know. Did you see when they made that Nurse Ratched movie, the prequel to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? It was.
I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
I watched it. They showed this is how she learned how to do lobotomies. This is how she did this. I go, was somebody in a room going, hey, let's look at the real big movies that happened. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Anybody got an idea? Hey, let's do a prequel about the mean nurse. Okay, that's a good idea. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Seriously? This is what you're doing?
Well, you know why, Mitch? Because when they do try an original idea, they fail more times than they don't. So now their familiarity is obviously part of the equation when they are making these movies.
Well,
and
ask Franco about Wicked. He loves Wicked. And I said, does it undermine the Wizard of Oz? Did we find out the Wicked Witch of the West was just misunderstood? It's like Darth Vader was really a whiny little guy that wanted his girlfriend to love him, and that's why he turned to the dark side. You don't need to tell everybody all the prequel stuff. You could
I'll disagree, Mitch, because I certainly know the concept of the stage musical, and I imagine the movie's obviously following suit. Frankly, you'll tell me differently if it isn't. But regardless, it's a proven success that sometimes you can make a prequel and it is effective. Sometimes. Not every time, though, and they try too hard too often. And I appreciate
they had to add a lot of singing,
Sure.
So,
but I do slightly and again, I never saw the stage play, Francis, but
I don't know the story either. So, frankly,
I feel free, Francis, to give it without spoiling whatever else we haven't understood about it.
It takes place before The Wizard of Oz, like the movie The Wizard of Oz. So, do with that as you will.
Okay. Well, and I think Mitch's instincts are correct that the Wicked Witch of the West is kind of or the East, I forget which one it is, because there is a sister in the original story, the one that has
Right,
the house
falls
falling.
on it. Yeah.
But yeah, then maybe again, yeah, maybe they were misunderstood. I'm okay with that. That doesn't bother me. And in fact, I think it's funny because again, it's kind of a parody at the same time of being a prequel. And it was obvious to me that it was going to be the Barbie of this year. Although I guess Moana 2 even more so because of the box office success of that. But I don't. The one thing that I'm like, oh, all right, now you're milking it too hard is the fact that is it a 2-part movie, Francis?
Yeah.
It is a 2-part movie, but I haven't seen the movie, so I can't speak to it. I've only seen the stage play.
Yeah.
So they end, basically, from what I understand, they end like kind of where the middle of the stage play before you go for intermission would be.
Yeah, that was my assumption.
Yeah. So
yeah, but it kind of smacks of when they made The Hobbit into 3 movies.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, hey, no, sorry.
You know what? They went in a different direction with those movies, but I kind of enjoyed them. But yeah, I don't know that I would have done that. Same thing here. Everybody seems to love this movie. I haven't seen it yet. I know my wife wants to see it, but she's like, I don't know if I have to see it in theaters.
I understand.
So I don't know. Maybe when she has off, next week, maybe we'll go to the theaters one day. But
JD says the Dexter prequel is pretty good. And Artie is watching us. Good to see Artie. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm kind of with your wife in terms of I'm curious, but I don't need to rush to see it in the theater. Yeah, and I'm happy for. I'm glad that there's a couple successes this Christmas season.
Well, I don't think there's really much in theaters that would drive me to go see it. Like,
Craven.
I'll told my son because I told him, he goes, "Where are you going tonight?" I said, "I'm going to go watch Craven with Mitch and Jerry." And he's like, "Why?"
See, what?
I'm like, I agree with you, but we're going to go have pizza and go watch this crappy movie together.
Sure.
It'll be a bonding experience. But nothing says it all like when Mitch and I and Jerry are sitting in the theater and the action part of the movie is over and they got another 15, 20 minutes of, tying things up at the end.
Yeah.
And this couple that is sitting right next to Mitch gets up and just walks out.
You go, where are they going? I go, they left. They had too much. They were Craven.
They're walking out before the credits even start.
This movie was delayed. This movie was delayed a whole year. It was supposed to come out last August of 2023, and they put it out to this August. Then they held it up again till December. And I'm like, you had time to watch this, and no, it sucks. Or just call a comic book nerd. My phone hasn't rang. I would have sat there and go, okay, get this guy out, change this, get her out of the movie altogether, and it won't be that bad because you got Russell Crowe. Why did Russell Crowe do this movie? Does he need a check that bad, or he thought
a Russian accent?
Okay, yeah. He could do a Russian accent. Yeah, I'm just watching it, going, Jesus Christ! Somebody had to stop the boat and say, "Are we going the right way?" Yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
No, I agree. I hear you, and I agree. And again, this is the issue with Sony, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. They do not know what the hell they're doing.
I said I feel bad for the actors because nobody goes into this job. I want to do a shitty movie. Let's do a shitty movie, everybody. Come on, let's put our.
Oh no, poor Dakota Johnson was so embarrassed by Madam Web.
Oh yeah,
that and I don't blame her exactly. It's like God,
I was embarrassed. Why did she do it?
Well,
she's
because
like,
she
I'm going to be in the Marvel universe. I'm like, you don't even know what the frig you're talking about.
Well, but that's the thing, man. They put themselves in the hands of these filmmakers and studios that are like, oh no. We have the Spider-Man thing. We look at the Tobey Maguire movies. Look at the Andrew Garfield movies. And I understand the level of quality, etc. But regardless, like, well, those movies made money, so okay, I'll do it. And then they get in and they're screwed. And they don't know when they're making the movie how it's going to be until it's done. And then when it does come out, it's like, all right.
You think they pitched it to her as, okay, it's going to be like 50 Shades of Madam Web. This is what we're going to do.
Sydney Sweeney's in it.
I love Sydney Sweeney.
I know, and I thought she'd have a better part, but she's just background.
No, she's just there. Yeah. They, they're making a movie with Sydney Sweeney as Christy Martin, the female boxer of the 90s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and no disrespect to Christy Martin, but Christy Martin was never a cover girl the way Sydney Sweeney is. So my already I'm like, okay. And listen, good luck to Sydney. She'll be fine, no matter how if it's good.
I heard she's doing Barbarella.
She is doing Barbarella. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Wow,
Which that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. So, well, there you go, guys. Well, we got one more Lower Decks, and I mean, we can't, depending on everyone's schedule. I know next week is Christmas, so it might be a little difficult, but maybe after Christmas or something, we can talk about Lower Decks from the final episode this week.
Yeah,
And we got more Skeleton Crew and some of these other shows that we've been talking about in other films. So this was a great discussion. Hopefully Wayne will join us next time and feel well enough to join us because we miss him. But this was great. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.